I'll gavel this in. We'll go ahead and get started. Regular scheduled meeting of fiscal court. Today's date, May 12th, 2020. Sorry and late. We had some technical difficulties, but we've recovered. I'd like to start off with a invocation by Magistrate John Caywood.
May we come together in prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we may be separated by distance, but we are not separated in spirit. We face difficult decisions in these times, but we pray for your guidance as we face our tomorrows. You challenge us in life in so many ways, but you also lead the way through your teachings. Love one another. Give us and our leaders the wisdom, determination, and leadership to help those in need during these very difficult times. There are so many who are hurting in so many ways. Wrap your loving arms around all and show us the way. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. If you don't mind, we'll just, everybody right where they are, we'll stand and say, I'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we have a screenshot of that. So everybody follow me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Prior minutes. Approval of prior minutes is on the schedule. We got two sets, a regular scheduled meeting and a special called meeting.
I move we approve the minutes as presented.
Is that both of them, Magistrate Gay?
Yes.
Regular scheduled on the 28th of April and the 5th day of May on the special call? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I think Ronnie was raising his hand to second that. He's having audio trouble. We're trying to get him fixed up.
That motion, all right, discussion on the minutes.
Judge, on page 2, I think it's the May 5, the second page, consider Wilderness Trail Distillery. Magistrate Gay, I'm confused because I seconded your motion and we were directing planning and zoning through their committee structure to prepare the language. And this language says that we, the court, are going to prepare the language.
Which line are you talking about there? Let me.
Consider Wilderness Trail Distillery, 4 lines from the bottom. Magistrate Gay made the motion, Ellis seconded, to prepare language. That should be to direct the planning and zoning folks and their committees to prepare the language.
Yes. And then I added it. I called Ann yesterday and wanted to add at the end of that sentence of distilled spirits, it should also say in agricultural zone, which the conversation above that was related to it being in an agricultural zone, but it's basically a CUP in an agricultural zone.
For the public listening, conditional use permit, CUP.
Yes. Thank you.
So what is the change we need to make there?
Your language, Magistrate Gay.
That we directed, the court is directing the planning and zoning office or commission to prepare language for consideration as an amendment. So I think it just needs to add is Magistrate Ellis we second it, or he seconded it, and then it should say to planning and zoning commission to prepare language. Does that sound appropriate, Magistrate Ellis?
Yes, sir.
All right, that sounds good. Ann's got that. Anything else? There being no further discussion on the minutes, all those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye with your name.
Caywood, aye.
Ellis, aye.
Cullen, aye.
Gay, aye. And Short said aye. Hey, Ronnie, I did hear you a little bit that time.
Hunt, aye. All right. Well, there, need that. We need to pay some bills. Is Lawrence on, Ann? Okay. Go ahead, Lawrence. Yeah, you got a mic on. There you go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Bills for May 12th, 2020. Standing orders, we had $1,746.66. The payroll for the period was $296,122.06. POs and vouchers were a total of $2,247,499.11. And that does include one I deleted this morning, for a grand total of $2,545,367.83.
Can you please identify the bill that was deleted for the record?
Yes, ma'am. The Kentucky Magistrates and Commission dues for fiscal year 21 has been deleted and will be presented again after the new fiscal year starts.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the payment of bills is.
So move, so move, Caywood.
All right, motion to approve the bills by Magistrate Caywood. Is there a second?
Salmon, second.
Magistrate Salmons has seconded the motion. Is there any discussion on the bill, the payment of bills? Questions? Yes.
At one point, we are privileged to have Magistrate Salmons on the board of the Kentucky Association of Counties, and they, separate from this issue, but they are waiving our entire fees next year, and I think that leadership locally goes to Magistrate Salmons in helping us to get that. That's one bill that the taxpayers will not be making this year.
Good point. Good point.
Is that Keiko's dues or NACO's dues?
Keiko.
That's NACO dues.
Yeah, NACO.
We're doing that throughout the state.
Yeah, that
We're
runs
doing
around $600 a year for the county.
We're doing that throughout the state, Marie.
Yes, you've done that before.
Yes.
They recognize tough times.
All right.
Y'all can buy my lunch when we get back together.
All right. All those in favor of paying the bills signify by aye with your name.
Caywood, aye.
Okay.
Ellis, aye.
Okay. We're still looking for some more votes.
Gay was an aye and Short was an aye.
Cullen's an aye.
All right. Hunt is an aye. That motion passes, and thank you for that. Mary, we'll talk about budget transfers first.
So the county treasurer physically didn't have time to get the budget transfers done this morning. There are a few that need to be done. I apologize for that. They will be presented at the next meeting.
Any questions? All right, moving on with that. Well, how about the cash? The same status on the cash transfer?
Cash transfer. I did our cash projection reports. We need to make sure we have money in the bank. And we do have two cash transfers from the general fund to the joint jail fund, $91,250 for operations, $3,131.86 for the energy efficiency debt service payment. There's an interest payment due on that bond issue June 1st, and that needs to be paid. And those were in your bills. And to fund that, those monies come from Mercer and Boyle County and the savings account. So if you could approve those two cash transfers, I'd greatly appreciate that.
Sammons makes a motion to make the transfers.
Thank you, Phil.
All righty, motion made by Magistrate Sammons to make the cash transfers. Is there a second?
Caywood second.
Caywood seconds the motion to make the cash transfers. Discussion? Questions? All right. I'd like to ask for a vote by name. Thank you.
Caywood, yes.
Sammons, yes.
Ellis, yes.
Cullen, yes.
Jamie
Short
raised
is-
it.
Yes,
Jamie's a yes.
yeah, yes,
Okay,
Gay, yes, and
That's
Short,
a yes. Looking at you. Got it. Okay. All right, Hunt, yes. So the motion passes. Thank you for that. Next, we begin our consent calendar. I have today the honor and the absolute privilege is afforded to me by the court to recognize two people who are have distributed significant volunteerism in support to this county and to this court. During the earlier part of this year, we had an incident with the Mustang horses out on US 127 where we as a county through our animal control engaged and incurred a incident where several horses were malnourished, several had died, and we had to step in and take charge of that situation. And there are two people in particular, although there were so many people that stepped up to the plate across this county and across this nation to provide us with resources, funds, hay, feed, items of need to help the horses that to survive. There were two key people in my estimation and that of the court that are central to the success of that endeavor. And today I would like to publicly recognize both of them. And so I'm going to move my screen just a little bit and mask up so that they can come and everybody can see a presentation of some certificates of appreciation. And I am going to ask Jessica Deering and John Turner to stand behind me, and maybe you can see them. Hopefully, there's Jessica and John. Let's see, there's John. Can you see him? All right, come on. There's the image we're looking at, guys. And I'm going to read a certificate that looks like this for the camera. And it's the Boyle County Fiscal Court Outstanding Volunteer Service Award presented to Jessica Deering for her unselfish volunteerism to the Boyle County Fiscal Court when she provided aid and assistance to the county during the 2020 Mustang horse abuse and neglect incident. Her significant caring and tireless efforts saved the lives of over 25 starving and abused horses. The action she took eventually led to all surviving horses being placed in safe, healthy, nurturing homes. Her volunteerism reflects great credit upon herself and the people of Boyle County, signed May 12th, 2020, Howard P. Hunt III, Boyle County Judge Executive. So Jessica, thank you for everything you did. I don't know how we could have even thought about being successful without you. You were a godsend. Thank you. And the same certificate goes to a great friend of the judge and this court, John Turner, who was there with Jessica nearly every day at some point in time. And John, we present you with a volunteer certificate also. And thank you for your service to the county. Appreciate both of you. And look, I see some applause going on there. All right. Let's see just a second. And next, Mary, I'm gonna let you talk about the CPA firm for the 2020 audit, if you don't mind.
Not at all. It's that time of the year again. Even though we've just finished up our audit, June will be upon us soon, and that's our fiscal year end. And every 4 years, the auditor's office likes to do the county's audit. This is year 3. So that I have circulated a proposal from the auditors who did our audit last year at the same amount. So if we decide to do this, which I would make a recommendation that we do.
Mary,
We
why don't you mute your phone? We're hearing a lot of mumbling. Can you mute it while you're talking?
That's
No.
not my phone.
I think that's where now Ronnie is on the call and he's on the video. So I think we're getting the feedback from Ronnie. I guess
I
Ronnie,
can't
you'll
hardly
either
hear
need to be on video or on the phone, one or the other.
Well, we don't need to see Ronnie. Tell him just get on the phone.
Anyway, we either put this out for proposals or, which I did 2 years ago, or we move and go forward with approving the proposal that you all have in front of you, or hope that you do, from Tammy Patrick and Associates. And allow them to do our audit again at $13,500, which is exactly the same amount of money as last year.
Same firm as last year, Mary?
Same firm as last year. They did a good job.
So this is boilerplate because it's very detailed.
It is boilerplate, and it's basically the same that the auditor's office sends you as well. In fact, I haven't compared it word for word, but most of this is with the auditor's office, I might add. But it's the same as the engagement letter that we got from the previous firm that did it. It's the
I'll
same
make that
audit
motion.
objectives and
Gay will make that motion to approve the contract with the estimate fee of $13,500.
thank you.
Ellis seconds.
Thank you.
All right, the motion
Come on.
made, Mr. Gates, seconded by Magistrate Ellis. Any further discussion on the motion regarding the contract?
I will make sure that I send a letter to the Kentucky Auditor's Office to let them know our intentions so we can get this approved and moving forward.
It's a lot cheaper than if the state did it, I'll say.
Yeah, it is. It is. Okay, is there no further discussion? Is somebody say something?
I call for the question.
All right, all those in favor, give your vote back with name,
Caywood,
Yes.
okay?
Ellis, yes.
Okay,
Gay, yes.
okay,
Cullen, yes.
okay. Ronnie, your mic off?
I think he said yes.
All right, he said yes. Hunt says yes. Thank you for that. Motion passes. All right. CBB presentation for February and March 2020 financials. Is anybody on from CBB or how we?
I think we just acknowledge that, don't we, Judge?
All right, we'll just acknowledge that those financials is presented. So made for the record. Acknowledge their presentation of February and March 2020 financials. We'll move on to the next one, EMS presentation of the Stryker Procure contract. In an earlier conversation today with Mike Rogers, that is may have been in your packet. If Mary, if I'm not mistaken, that is a recurring contract that has already been initiated. So strike that from our discussion and we'll move on to personnel issues because this is just a recurring contract automatic. All right. So we have personnel issues and Director Rogers, you can start out with your full-time hire request by name and go on from there.
Can we get an approval for that contract? I know it's a contract that's routine, but it does require a signature by the county judge executive and it says agreement on it. So can we approve that?
Caywood move for approval.
All right.
Salmon seconds.
All right. Motion made to approve by Magistrate Caywood, seconded by Magistrate Salmons. Discussion. All right. All those in favor signify by vote.
Caywood, aye.
Ellis, aye.
Okay.
Salmon's aye.
Yeah,
Cullen, aye.
Cullen, aye. Hunt, aye. Short looks like he's still mic'd off. Anybody got an indication of his vote?
I think he said, thumbs up, Ronnie.
All right, thumbs up. I see the screen. Okay. Short, aye. So motion carries. Appreciate that. All right. Mike, you're on for
Yes, sir.
the rest of your hire request.
Yes, sir. Well, I'd like to consider Chris Sowder today for, he's an EMT for a full-time position that we posted a couple of meetings ago. I would like to make that effective today. His pay rate would be $9.50 an hour.
Can you tell us just a little bit more about him just real quick, if you don't mind, Mike?
Yeah, we posted a paramedic position, but we weren't able to recruit a paramedic position for a full-time right now. So we're going to go ahead and replace that with an EMT position. And then I think he has intentions on going on to be a paramedic. So we're able to train, and we find when we train them ourselves that they a good majority of the time that they retire from our service. So other than that, we had employee leave, and we're just replacing that employee. Anything else, Judge?
Well, I think in talking with you earlier today, that you and Major Wesley both feel like this young man
Yes, sir.
has a great future with us. He's
Yes, sir.
engaging, committed, and so it sounds like he's off to a good start for a career-minded focus.
Yeah, he's currently a part-time employee that's been helping us out a lot, we see a lot of promise in him as a future employee. So we're excited to have him.
This is our initial our initial seeding of growing our own expert in that career field.
Yeah, well, we've done it for many years, but recently we just had Amanda Taylor finish her paramedic, and she's doing great. So yeah, we're continuing this process. Thanks, Judge.
Okay. I would hope in that the medics are kind of the crew lead on a shift, so to speak, with a crew, in that he is not a medic, okay, but an EMT, in transition and training, would this be a situation where perhaps you or Major Wesley would assist in certain runs, or maybe not, to make sure that we are covered, proficiently?
Yeah. Yeah, we have appropriate ALS coverage on all shifts,
Okay.
so that's good. Major Wesley and I, we're always out on runs all the time, so it's not uncommon for us to just go help crews out and just to keep up our skills.
Sounds good. I entertain a motion on the consideration of this full-time hire.
Caywood makes that motion.
Is there a second?
Second it.
All right, motion made by Magistrate Caywood to hire, Mr. Chris Sowder, and seconded by Magistrate Sammons. Any discussion on this particular hire? There being none, all those in favor signify your vote by name.
Caywood, yay.
Salmons, yes.
Ellis, yes.
Gay, yes.
Cullen, yes.
Hunt, yes. And I see Magistrate Short giving us the thumbs up, approval, or a little wave that to the affirmative. So the motion passes. Thank you for that. The next one, Mike.
Thank you, Judge. The next thing, the new two items I'd like to consider is a part-time hire. Paramedic is for paramedic is Hannah Spanyer. She'll be a part-time paramedic effective immediately. Pay rate of $15 an hour for part-time. The other one will be Billy Cannon, a previous employee that we've had in the past that's coming back, and he will be effective immediately at $12 an hour.
Okay, can you explain for the benefit of the court, and you may have already done this with your committee, Mike, the reason for the difference in starting pay of these two part-time individuals?
Absolutely, sir. So part-time employees, they don't routinely get overtime. As for our full-time employees, they're having an average 56-hour work week. So they work over 3,000 hours a year on the 24/48 schedule. So they have mandatory built-in overtime, which is why their rate's a little lower. For part-time employees, where they don't receive benefits and very rarely ever get overtime, we move their part-time rate up. I guess was last year, and we've really been able to recruit some quality people with that raise. So that's the difference there.
Well, I understand that, but the difference between the two individuals, 115 and 112.
Yeah. Oh, paramedic. Hannah Spanyer is a paramedic, and Billy Cannon is 15. He is an EMT at $12 an hour.
Got
Sorry,
it.
Judge.
Understood. I didn't see that in my agenda to realize the difference there, but I should have understood that with the price difference.
Oh, sorry, Judge.
A motion to, I entertain a motion. Is it okay to entertain a motion to hire both of these individuals part-time?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Magistrate Cullen. Is there a
Caywood, second.
Magistrate
And
Cullen?
if I may, I would like to add that the EMS committee earlier this morning met these two individuals and talked to them, and think, so we signed off on them this morning also.
So this comes as a recommendation from the EMS committee?
Yes, and I would, Mike, if you don't mind, make one more just real brief statement about the competition for people in this line of work out there in the workplace, and we've had to adjust some of our rates because of that.
Yeah. So especially for paramedic, there's more paramedics in Kentucky than there ever has been. But the big thing that's changing for us is that there's more opportunities for paramedics in the private sector, the hospital, through air medical services. So we're really having to compete with all these other places to be able to recruit and retain paramedics. So that's why it's such a competitive field. We're able to recruit the people that either do ride time with us, or that we're able to recruit just by word, and that with those tools, that's why we're able to have the level of care that we're able to continue with. So,
Thank you.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify with your vote by name.
Caywood, aye.
Cullen, aye.
Bama's aye.
Ellis, aye.
Gay, yes.
Ronnie,
Short, aye.
Short, aye. I heard Ronnie come in there.
Short, aye, Hunt, aye. Motion passes. Thank you for that. Congratulations to all the new hires.
thank you, Judge. Thank you, Court.
Thank you, Director.
General Hunt, just real quick, I kind of have to take exception in the fact that the only reason they're coming here is because of the money. I happen to think that Boyle County is a great county that people would enjoy working in, and I think the money helps some, but I think the overall, ability to work in a county like this, that's in a great part of the country. It's got rich in history. So I don't think they're here just for the money. I think that they're here for all of the benefits that they get by being in Boyle County. So I want to make sure that
I would agree with you.
realize that they're just not in it for the money, because like I said before, other counties can afford to pay more than we can afford. So if that's the case, they're just going to chase it. So I think it's important that we recognize that.
I agree with that, Magistrate Cullen. We have a great service, a great culture of customer service to all of our patients, and only being able to have support through the fiscal court, we're able to do that. So that's a good point. Thank you.
I happen to think that the director and his staff are pretty fabulous as well, and I think that makes up the whole package. So
thank you, sir.
Good working environment. I agree. All right, thank you. Moving on to the next one. Director Muncie, you're on. There you
Good
go.
morning.
Good morning.
well, let me get my mic on. Hold on.
We'll shut you off. All right, it looks like the first thing that we have is the solid waste annual report. Is there any questions that I can try to answer?
It was a fairly thick document. I hope everybody had a chance to review it and go through it.
It's actually late, but the state's late doing everything anyway, so I don't think they'll notice.
I didn't realize we had that many people involved.
Is there any questions or
All your
comments?
convenience center totals and things like that's inside the report. I'm sure you have reviewed it, so.
All I would think we need on this, if I'm not mistaken, is acknowledge a receipt of the report.
Well, you have to sign it, Judge, so you and I, so.
Let's approve it then. I entertain a motion to approve it since it has to be signed and move forward.
So move, Caywood.
All right, motion to approve the report.
I'll second.
All right, motion's been made by Master Caywood and approved, and seconded by Magistrate. I believe that's correct. Is there any discussion on the contract, solid waste contract annual report? Not contract, excuse me, annual report. There being none, all those in favor signify your vote by name.
Caywood, aye.
Bama's aye.
Ellis, aye.
Gay, aye.
Cullen, aye.
And Hunt, aye. Short. Aye. Okay. Motion carries. Thank you for that. Next, Angie, about your rotator.
Yes, as you may or may not know, the judge said last time that I'd have the paper grinder in It has been built and delivered, tagged, all the other good stuff. If you haven't seen it, you need to stop up here and see that thing work. It's pretty cool. But what I didn't realize is the basket inside that holds the paper after it's grinded is extremely heavy. And all the men together, I don't believe, could lift it. But I didn't realize they made a rotator. This is where my mechanical and all that good stuff, experience comes in like none. But it's a rotator. It goes on your forks and it lifts the basket and it tilts the items into the baler. I'm sure you all probably know what that is, but I didn't. So it's a pretty expensive piece. It is a rebuilt piece. Because the other one would have been $3,000 more if I got a brand new one. So I really don't have a problem, saving that $3,000. And this model not only fits the old one, but I'm foreseeing hopefully getting the grant, my new recycling grant, which I asked for a new forklift. It can be interchanged also. So it's not like it's for an old forklift and won't fit another one.
This basket that the paper is ground up in and shredded in, I would guesstimate it's a wire mesh basket that is approximately, I'm gonna just say approximately 5 foot square and 4 foot tall. So it is fairly heavy, and when it's full of paper, it would take everybody maybe or more in the shop just to empty it into the baler. This rotator would go on the front end of her forklift and take it up, tilt it, put it in the baler. So I think, as you can see in your paperwork, the rebuilt price, I don't know, does it talk about delivered and installed, $5,195.
That's correct.
So what, I have to ask, since it's an unbudgeted item, where will this come from?
Well, Mary, you're the treasurer. I think did we look under new equipment, Rita? We looked under the new equipment because really I didn't get nothing like the box, the paper cutter, or anything like that.
Okay, wait, Angie. So this is a recycling item because it goes on your forklift. So
pretty much, it can be used actually for either, but technically it'll be used for recycling.
Okay, because it's on the recycling forklifts and it's on an item that was purchased with recycling. So you're talking about now using solid waste budget for that.
We can. It can be used for either, Mary.
Okay. Well, I just haven't had a conversation with you, I guess, about where that actually would come from.
But we looked at, let me see if I can find the paperwork here. Did we look at that, Rita? Was it go for? I have Rita here with me. She's got to keep me in line. She tries anyway.
Because I have solid waste, new equipment. We budgeted 16.5 and I projected we'll spend 12,003. And then
Okay.
Under the convenience center improvements, we budgeted 15,000 and we'll probably spend around 13,600. So I guess between the two, because I don't see any recycling budget, because the paper cutter was the full 14,000, correct?
Correct, and I did not purchase one because I decided to put that in the grant this year.
Oh, the paper cutter. So you have the full $14,000 then in the recycling new equipment for the
I did
paper.
not buy a paper cutter because it got short of time, so I just applied for that in the grant.
That's what, and
Instead
see,
of
that's
putting
where I
it
thought you were going to take it out of, and that's what my notes
No.
last night, late last night was That's what I thought was the best place, but,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
So there-
that's where Rita and I had looked at it at, and, no, I put the paper cutter, in the recycling grant instead of
Okay,
spending that
so
money.
With that being said, in the 1920 new equipment line item in the recycling center, 5217725, there was $16,000 budgeted, and she has only spent to date around $1,000. So we can take that
See, Jason
rotator.
Coleman, I do save money.
So we can comfortably take that out of that line item.
Is everybody?
Angie, I've got a question.
Okay.
Do we really have any choice? I mean,
Yeah.
do we really
Well-
have a choice? Is it?
Well, Magistrate, not
not
really, if
mechanical.
we really want to use it, but I honestly think it will actually pay for itself. When I can, when I can get this and the public, knows what I have, I can advertise it, get it out for people to use. Yeah, I think it will pay for itself, pretty quick.
Well, the shredder will, but also the rotator will, because that'll help her expedite the baling aspect once she brings the container back to the shop.
Well, it also limits the liability of one of our employees getting hurt. trying to
Absolutely.
lift it.
The workman's comp,
So,
the workman
So I'll
comp.
so I'll make the motion that we purchase this.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the purchase of the, Cascade rotator for the paper
Same
grinder.
a second.
It's been made by Magistrate, Salmons, is seconded by Magistrate Salmon, made by Magistrate Caywood. Discussion on this is open to anybody.
Yeah, Judge Tom Ellis here.
Yes, sir.
And since it is a refurbished piece of equipment, what is the warranty on both parts and labor?
Oh, he said he would give us a year. He would take care of us. He always has. We have one of the old Yales here, and that's why I chose that piece.
I'd recommend we get that in writing.
Okay.
We can do. Any other discussion on the rotator?
And Angie, it's only saving money if you don't spend it somewhere else. So.
Well, Jason, I gotta spend it somewhere.
And you ain't saving it.
Times are hard.
All right, all those in favor signify your vote by name.
Caywood, yes.
Ronnie Short, yes.
Colin, yes.
Yes.
Gay, yes.
Hunt, yes. It sounds like everybody had passed this. Thank you for that, on the rotator. All right,
Thank you, and I invite everybody to come see this thing operate. It's pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
you need to, if you haven't seen it, you need to go out and see it. It's up. And we're in your district. If you have anybody that has a need for shredding paper, talk to them about it, because this is mobile. It can go around.
I'm hoping to maybe every quarter put it in a district where everybody can come. Yeah, it could be on a Saturday or a Friday afternoon or something, and just visit it and bring their personal stuff, like Mary, and we'll have to come to your house, Mary.
Yeah.
Miss Muncie, how long will it take to get this part in and get it installed?
I don't think it'll take but a couple weeks, maybe. But I'll get it today. I told the gentleman we would know something today, so.
All right, next is the Lamar Billboard contract.
All right, this is for the billboard that we put up in November to December. This is used out of our,
Litter abatement.
yeah, I was gonna say litter abatement money. And this is the only thing basically that I am keeping. The contract is for that. I am not going to renew the cinema contract. I just don't think it's really, I could use that money somewhere else, teaching the public then. So Mary, I'm sorry, but
I know,
your,
you're taking me off the big
your
screen.
fame it's coming to an end. I'm going to have to give you a Grammy or something, but
There go Mary's royalties on that. ad she's done.
Yeah, there was a lot of royalty, I'm telling you.
plus, they've been closed all this time, and it's just, I just don't see the benefit of it. I mean, it's just, I just think it's $5,000 that can be used somewhere else.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else agrees with that. I'm sure Jason does. So, that's,
Gay will make the motion on the Billboard contract.
What was that, Magistrate Gay? Was that a motion to approve?
Yes, the
I'll
contract.
second it.
Harry, do you want to use this for, sign this for next fiscal year, or should we go ahead and do it for this one?
Because your grant is a calendar year, isn't it?
The litter abatement, yes.
Yeah, and you had money left in this fiscal year. I
So
saw
let's
that
just
you
go
bought
ahead and
some
do it for this
supplies.
fiscal
I would
year.
do it this fiscal year.
For next
All right.
fiscal year.
I'll have Rita here, take care of it for me, so.
Thank you.
All right, the motion
Better
made
keep me
by
in
Magistrate
line.
Gay. Go ahead. Seconded by Magistrate Sammons, I think.
No, that was Magistrate Short.
Major Short.
All right, so, I'm
Salmon, yes.
okay, all those vote with, signify a vote with their name.
Caywood, yes.
Salmon, yes.
Ellis, yes.
Yeah, yes.
Ronnie Short, yes.
Cullen, yes.
Hunt, yes. Motion passes for the contract with Lamar. All right, thank you for that. I will sign that contract today.
Thank you.
Question,
next-
Judge.
Excuse me.
The budget workshop here is there a separate packet for solid waste and recycling, or is it all lumped into one?
Together. I mean,
They're
we have a
together.
solid waste and we have a recycling.
Yeah, actually, the way the treasurer has presented this budget workshop is you have a set of solid waste notes, and we go through solid waste, and then we'll go through recycling in its entirety.
Yeah, because I only see the recycling. I don't see the solid waste one, as far as notes go, according to the packet, unless something else was sent.
Did anybody else get recycling, or I didn't send those out? I apologize.
I got both solid waste, one and a quarter page, and recycling stapled 4 pages.
Anybody else?
Anybody else not get that?
Ellis,
Ellis?
Caywood. Caywood didn't.
Salmon didn't either.
It was
got
mailed,
both.
it was mailed to you and digitally sent.
The mailed
Yeah,
part is correct. It was not digitally sent.
Huh?
Yeah.
The digital part was a no, but I did find it in my packet. It's a 1-sheet page.
Yes.
It's one sheet and then a 2-sheet stapled. Gabe received them.
Well, we're not trying to eliminate the exposure of consideration to information by magistrates. So hopefully everybody should have got it. Hard copy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I located mine in my
everybody
packet.
look for it. We got the groundwater protection plan next.
I didn't see the digital one, so.
Angie, before we get to the workshop, let's go with the groundwater protection plan. What you've done that regarding the convenience center.
Okay.
Hey,
So they're all.
This is
basically the
Ronnie Short. I did get the solid waste management thing, book.
All right.
Okay. Anyway, the groundwater protection plan, you will find they were all the same except for the location. This is something that probably should have been done a long time ago, but it's never been done. It was recommended that we do this by the Division of Water, which I didn't have a problem doing. I always thought we had one, but evidently we didn't. So this is just based off the convenience centers. Also, on next meeting, we will also have a stormwater protection plan for all the convenience centers, hopefully by next meeting. It's been a real struggle with the stormwater, but hopefully I'll have it done the next time.
That's a much more laborious, detailed,
Yes, very. It's like 82 pages of instruction that I'm really, I'm really getting educated with and really didn't know a whole lot about. But so hopefully next meeting I will have that, ready for you. But the groundwater, this is the groundwater protection plan for all of them. It was relatively, pretty simple. But if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. The best of my knowledge, anyway.
Here, on the first page under 2, person developing Boyle County Fiscal Court. I don't understand that.
Well, you are the fiscal court. I have to do it under the fiscal court.
But it says that we are the ones developing it. I assume it's staff, meaning you are developing it.
yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Well, I'm implementing it. I'm implementing. I mean, I can put my name on there, but I'm gonna have to be one responsible for implementing it. But developing, I mean, it's a fiscal court owned property.
That language is.
Not my own property.
The language is
Implement
confusing.
it, but but I can't be, I'm going to develop it, but that's just part of my job to do that. But I'm doing it's the fiscal court's property.
Well, in number 3, Angie, you're identified basically as the person responsible for.
That's correct. That's correct.
All right, moving on.
All right, motion, we need let's do a motion to approve, the groundwater protection plans, because these are things that I'll sign for the fiscal court.
I'll make that.
Salmons makes a motion to approve.
A motion to approve the groundwater protection plan for the convenience centers made by Magistrate Salmons, seconded by.
Judge,
Yes,
let me interrupt for just before you get all that.
Okay.
Magistrate Ellis, and this information also, this comes from the state. This is the state's language. This isn't Angie's language. This is the state of Kentucky's language. So,
I was just confused because we knew that you would be doing the document. And within this motion, I hope that what you said about a detailed plan will come at a future meeting.
well, this is the detailed plan for groundwater.
There'll be a
This is
different
not
thing for
stormwater. This is groundwater only. But this is the state's template for groundwater, and this is all we take care of for groundwater. This is just for the convenience centers. That's what I'm responsible for.
The stormwater plan would, if the next court meeting, if
Will
it's
be just for
complete,
them also, Judge.
is much more detailed though.
Yes, much more.
So is there a second to the motion to accept the
Caywood.
groundwater? Actually, Caywood seconds it. Discussion about the groundwater protection plan for convenience center. All those in favor signify with your name. You vote.
Caywood, aye.
Salmons, aye.
Yay, yes.
Cohen, aye.
Ellis, aye.
Hood, aye. And, Magistrate Short. He's
He's waving.
That's a waive of approval.
I think he's delayed.
Okay. The motion carries to approve the groundwater protection plan for the Kentucky, for the convenience centers. Next, we'll go into the solid waste recycling budget workshop. And hopefully you found your hard copies by now of the two, basically the solid waste, one full page and a quarter of the back on the same page. And then the recycling is a 4-page stapled piece.
Magistrate Ellis, for your budget, do you know what page we're on? Because I didn't, here. 1, 2,
I don't understand the question, Mary.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Should be
Okay,
10.
so you're
10.
gonna have your full budget. If you want to follow along with your full budget, it's on page 8.
Thank you. I'll grab it. Thank you.
Yes. I thought maybe you were ahead of the game because you usually are.
No.
Nope, I apologize. 10, number 10.
Page 10?
Page 10, it starts with the 5215 sequence numbers.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. So if you're following along, I'm looking at solid waste first because it's first before the next set of numbers. And if you want to look at your notes, we can refer back and forth. What I've done for you for solid waste department, there may be a few revenue line items. Primarily, those are revenues generated from people that don't adhere to the ordinance, and so they end up paying the county or reimbursing the county based on a lien on a property or something like that. So I don't really count that. It's few and far between, but any other revenue is non-existent that comes in specific to solid waste services, unless it's a grant that is at 100%. And those line items, as we go through them, will be identified. So what I've done for you first and foremost is to outline the total budgeted expenses and the actual expenses and the projected expenses for 5 fiscal years, including the proposed budget. And we usually run around $825,000 a year for solid waste expenditures. And, you know, usually I kind of equate that to your real property taxes, and your real property tax is budgeted at $1,100,000. So, you know, in essence, when you're paying your property tax, that is supporting our convenience centers that are being used throughout the county with a little extra money for recycling. Does anybody have any questions about our expenditures?
Yeah, say that again. So how much of this 800,000 is for convenience centers?
All of it?
We spend $800,000 on convenience centers.
Yeah. Under your
So out of
5215
the,
accounts,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
all solid waste, and those are your solid waste services. And aside from the grants of $4,000 for tire disposal, and we have some education in there for $5,000 from M&M Sanitation. All of the rest of that is for your convenience centers.
So out of, you said $1 million, we're spending 800,000 on convenience centers.
On your solid waste coordinator and the solid waste services of disposal of refuse in Boyle County.
Costs a lot of money to get rid of our trash, Jason.
But I mean, that's what
Okay,
I've always kind of equated those two line items together.
Let me ask this question. How
yeah.
much of our reserve are you using for the budget this year?
How much of the reserve am I using? Well, I don't want to do the math right now, but I can get back with you on exactly how much that is.
Approximate?
I-
Because this whole tax increase was going to be the save all end all of us dipping into our reserves, but we're back to dipping into them because of COVID, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so approximately how much do you think we're dipping in?
We can talk, again, Magistrate, we haven't finalized our budget. You all have added things in after I've cut things. You're taking things off the table as we go. We've even said at the very end that we're not sure where we're going to be until we finally finish this budget. But I do know what we projected is $1,100,000 for your real property tax. That will not be too terribly much affected by COVID. But what I can show you is, can we get through, let's do the solid waste budget workshop, and then we'll talk about the overall budget, if that's okay.
Well, my question is relating to solid waste. So that's why I thought I had the ability to talk about this.
And you can, but eating into the surplus, you can look at it as solid waste eating into the surplus or what other services eating into the surplus.
Okay, but when you said that we added things back into the budget, we added essential things back into the budget. We can't have the sheriff going without cars.
I'm
We
just
can't
saying as we
have.
go through the process, we're going to be moving things back and forth. Appropriations are things that I have in the budget. You all are going to be changing those because we haven't gotten to those budget workshops. I'm just saying technically, I'm not saying whether or not they're essential or non-essential. I'm just saying that there's movement in the budget.
Mary, I
Every
want to
time
get
we have a
involved.
budget workshop.
I want to get involved in this. Solid waste and other waste disposal is a health issue, number one. Traditionally, in all counties all across Kentucky, it has been a very egregious disposal issue down sinkholes, in valleys, in dead-end roads. And third issue that I would raise is we have a very predominant number of elderly people in the outlying areas who use these services, and they are taxpayers. And this became a huge issue long before I ever thought about running for magistrate, when over 400 people signed, among them 68 who were elderly. This is a very essential service for health reasons.
Yeah, and we offer
Amen.
that service. I'm asking that we take a realistic look in how much of the service we're offering. If we're spending $800,000 on convenience centers, you telling me as a conservative, you don't see a way that we can actually maybe condense some of those services to save money? The number that I have, we're dipping. The number that I have, we're dipping into, Tom, is $500,000. That's what we're going to be dipping into for our reserves. So you're willing to go ahead and dip in $500,000
across a number of line items?
Not across a number of line items. It's simple, debits and credits. You can separate it out as much as you want, but we have the essential services, and then we have non-essential services. And when we have an abundance of convenience centers, I'm telling you, we really need to make some cuts. We should have made cuts 2 months ago, and we didn't. We let things go, and all we're doing is mounting in more debt, and we're gonna have more problems. We don't realize the total issue we're gonna have, and we probably won't for another year. So that's why we should have been doing this all along. So if I need to make some conversations here and make people talk about stuff that they don't want to talk about, I'm sorry, but we need to make cuts, and we should have been making them all along.
I'll be delighted to talk about it. Just a week ago Saturday, there were over 300 visitors to the Perryville Convenience Center alone. We are now operating on fewer days with fewer personnel hours in, I believe, and Angie can confirm this, I believe in all but perhaps Ghost Pike.
We had over
Angie, I didn't think,
500.
I didn't
We had
think
over 500 visitors Saturday out on those Pike, Judge.
Okay.
That's every day
500.
at Ghost Pike.
Yes.
Last Saturday, I thought it was 670 at Ghost Pike, but I don't know.
I was gonna
When
say,
I was
usually
out there about 2 o'clock, it was over 500.
600 a day. Everybody's home. They're using it more right now because they're cleaning up. So we have a lot of
Yeah, I mean, our bill went from $23,000 to $43,000 and monthly bill.
Yep.
And I've never seen a $43,000 monthly bill before.
Hey, Angie, if you could, what's the solid waste contract services, which that's the bulk of this? What's that? Is that their contract with Republic, or who we using? What's that line for?
Republic.
Okay, so that's for them to pick it up and haul it off from the
Yeah.
convenience
They
centers.
pick convenience centers up.
Okay,
so
so to
that's-
answer your question,
And we have a 10-year contract with them also, Jamie. You know,
Right.
we're under contract with Republic till 2025. But yeah, they
Right.
pick up like the boxes at the convenience center. They bring the recycling in. Yes.
Yeah, so that's that, and salaries are the bulk of the.
That's it. That's it, pretty much.
That's the bulk of the. Yeah.
This is something we cannot help. It's a good service to the public. Taxpayers are getting their money's worth out of this because just think how clean the restaurant is. Without it, we'd be a mess.
okay, so I'm gonna answer Magistrate Cullen's question. Your revenue coming in is 8,000,006. And if you take, and this is general fund only, and this is the way I do it, and that's why I hate to get into these conversations. And then your expenses coming out are going to be about 6,100,000 of your general fund, which leaves you around $2,500,000 in I guess gross profits, if you want to call that. Okay, that's your general fund money in and your general fund money out. So we have a little extra money, but you haven't paid for EMS, the jail, or anybody else. So now you're going to have to pay your transfers out to those departments in the amount of $3,235,000. So you're talking about $650,000 that we're going to eat into our budget surplus to be able, because it's not a balanced budget, because but this doesn't take into account the $3,500,000 carryover. It does not, this budget that I'm working from does not include any of the changes we've made so far. And that includes the jail and the lowering of the revenue in the jail. And those things that have transpired through prior budget processes or workshops. So to answer your question, yes, sir. $650,500.
And we raised taxes because we were dipping at 200,000. So we're just going to let it roll. That 600,000 is okay, but $200,000 we had to raise taxes on the tax on our county citizens. So we've got 30,000 people in this county, and while I do agree that the convenience centers are needed, we need to take a realistic look of how many we have and how we can consolidate. And I'm just asking for temporarily consolidate, because again, we don't know how long we're going to see shortfalls. I can tell you it'll probably be 2 to 3 years. If you look back to 2008, when we hit a recession, it was bad. So we need to look at this. And I've been saying this for over a year, even before COVID, that we need to start looking at saving money, consolidating services, cutting extra expenses. And this is one of those items that we really need to take an honest look at. So
We have in the past taken a look at it, and that's why the number of staff are down, the number of hours they work are down, the number of days that the convenience centers are open, and that has been somewhat of an inconvenience. And I think when you drive the roads and you see a little more litter than we have in the past, that probably is a product of having fewer days access for our constituents who are taxpayers for what I repeat is
I
a
completely
very,
disagree. The litter that you're getting, Tom, and I talked to the people out in Alum Springs at length about this 2 different times over the last month. The litter you're getting is from people driving their trash to the convenience centers, and then it just blows all over the road out of the back of their trucks. So sometimes the convenience centers are actually causing the issue of the litter, not just because, you know, hours or whatever. So, you know, my side of town, we've got Goes Pike. That's what we have. And I have people that have to drive 6 to 8 miles to get to Goes Pike, and they do it when they need to. So I understand what you're saying, but honestly, you cannot sit here and call yourself conservative and sit here and be okay with us spending an extra $600,000 out of our reserves without making some cuts. You just can't.
well, we're not paying 600,000 out of reserves for the convenience centers.
No, I'm well aware of that, but when the convenience
All
center
right,
costs us
that sounded like
$800,000,
that they were.
Jason, that's, Judge, that's the convenience center. I'm gonna have to compliment Andy on the job she's done. I think that this is one of the smoothest operations we have, and she's done a wonderful job. And I wouldn't even, you start wanting to cut a convenience center from one of the locations, they're spread out geographically great. And this was tried by a previous judge to close one of them, and excuse my French, but all hell was raised. And if Caywood will tell you, it didn't work, and they wanted different things to look at, and we did different studies, but we ended up with the convenience centers where they are, and it works out better than anything we've ever tried.
I would add, I'll just add to Phil. The citizens really spoke out when we looked at this a couple of years ago. And I would also add that the tax increase was because several reasons. One of them was we had not raised any tax increase in approximately 15 years. Second reason was the 30,000 population threshold that put
that's
us in
actually
a
not
position.
true. We actually have raised taxes. We just did it in different ways. So when the soil conservation tax was added, did we give a reduction in taxes to the taxpayers when they had that added tax put onto them? No. So we kept the same money coming in, and we added another tax to them. So while we haven't directly, Boyle County Fiscal Court raised taxes have been raised over the last, several years. So, and yes, I'm well aware of the 30,000, threshold for census, but telling you, we're digging in 600,000 this year, and that's just this year. We haven't even talked about what it's going to be next year and the year after. So we're going to have huge shortfalls. We should be planning for this now and not reacting later. We didn't let the EMS director get a buggy that was definitely essential. We didn't let the sheriff get an extra car, which is definitely essential. But hey, we've got 5 convenience centers, and we can't even talk about maybe consolidating them a little bit more temporarily. Might I remind you, not permanent, but temporarily, to save money. That's what you have to do in times like this. You have to look at everything you're spending, figure out what's essential, non-essential, and then save money. We're not doing that, and we need to. But hey, I guess, this will be somebody else's problem down the road.
I'm just wondering, I don't believe if our county attorney is on the line. I see his name there, but I'm just wondering, since it is contractual 10 years with Republic, we pay on volume that is collected. I don't know how much cost savings we would have under the contract, which runs through 2025, which means it's already been there for a while. And if there was a consolidation of centers, but the volume didn't change, all we're doing is inconveniencing the public, is my understanding, to drive further. If they take it to another center, they would have to be open more hours to increase the volume that could be from one closed or temporarily close location to another. I'm just thinking through this. I could be wrong about this. It's my gut assessment with this discussion that
Contract has nothing to do with it because as Mary stated, we went from 26,000 to 40,000. So it's all based on volume. And yes, you are correct that there could be, it could just move people to these other locations, which is not the worst thing in the world.
Mary, is that the two bills that are together, or was that for one bill?
No, it's in your bills today that bill, because I looked
There's
at them
two
last
bills
night.
today that's together. February and March is together if they're in today's bills that were approved.
Right, so one was for February and one was March, and the February
for
was like
March?
23,000. No, it
Right.
may have been 32. I may be dyslexic, and I apologize for that. I'm trying to
no,
think.
that's fine.
But I know it was 43,000, and I about fell out of my
I know
chair
we
last
should have
night.
a bigger bill. I know that because it's been pretty rough lately because of the virus and people wanting to clean up. But Jason, I can partially agree and partially not. You're not going to. The only reason I say we're not really going to save by that is, first of all, the only expense that we are that you would actually save is, my employees who really, they don't make near enough to put up with what they do where they're at. But having that been said, all you're doing is taking one bulk of trash to another convenience center. So,
So
that's not going to change.
You're telling me that
That's
we're
what
not
we're
going to have to
paying
do,
for.
so we don't have to pay for any repairs, any machines that go down. We're not going to have to
Well,
buy
sure,
any new
we always
machines.
have to do that, but they've all been recently, they're all fixed, running good, but
The
that's
simple math
something
would
you
tell
always
you
have to
that
look
if
for.
you've got 5 convenience centers, you've got 5 pieces of equipment, or plus 5 pieces of equipment. If you've got 3 convenience centers, you have 3 pieces of equipment or 3 outfits of equipment. So you're eliminating 2, 4, whatever it is, 1. That over this year, I can guarantee you, we're going to have to repair, replace, or fix some sort of mechanism of these convenience centers. And if this is costing us almost $1 million a year, I'm sorry, this is where I'm going to be hard. Public Works is going to be the same way. Everywhere else is going to be the same way. All of the essential stuff, we need to try to, accommodate as much as possible, but while still making cuts. But, some of these other services, we need to put them on the back burner for a little bit.
Yeah, and I just want to say I agree with the judge's feedback here, because I do think that the contract is everything at this point in time, and that's
Don't even
something
get
that
me started on the contract, because we had
that
an
we
opportunity
want
to redo that contract a year ago, but everybody let Republic walk right out the door while they took away services from us, but still charged us the same amount.
Well, again, the contract is what we're in right now, and it is based on volume. And so I think, we're going to have to, that's just going to be a big number, and we'll get a chance to renegotiate that. And there's no, it could go higher in a new contract, because, it just depend on the situation and the time. There's no way to know where we will be 5 years from now when it's
Answer
time
me
to
this too, where
renegotiate
the
that
city of
contract.
Danville no longer wants to contribute to the solid waste director's salary. How's that going to affect things? Has that been taken into consideration, Mary?
No, and that's one of the things we need to talk about during our budget workshop is, well, it's not so much solid waste. They contribute on the recycling side of things. So when we get to the 5217 recycling side of the budget workshops, we're going to have to reduce revenue by about $40,000. And just to add to it, when we got to the financial statements in March, I spent a little time just kind of and looking at our occupational tax and net profit tax compared to last year to this year and where we are. So we'll have a little further conversation about that at the end of the meeting if I could. So just to give you a little bit more information to chew on as you go through the budget cycle. So is it the pleasure of the court for me to continue forward?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the first section on expenses, is what it's costing us to do business by disposing of our refuse responsibly. As we talk about in other budget workshops, the salaried line items include a 3% increase come January 1, 2021, and the solid waste budget projection, include 6 full-time employees and 3 part-time employees. And as it relates to a convenience center, just for informational purposes, there's 1 full-time employee at each one of our convenience centers, except for Ghost Pike, I believe, that has a full-time and a part-time, correct? Miss Angela?
Mike's off, Angie.
Portland has 2 part-time.
Part-time, okay. So I think we've covered that clearly. So just so you have something to think about.
Mary,
yes.
a question on that. Do the 6 full-time include the person who is currently picking up dead animals?
No, that's in a completely different budget, Magistrate
Okay.
Ellis. What it does include, though, he has a portion of his time in the recycling center budget. We get
I knew it was somewhere. Thank you.
Yeah, they get a little confusing, but not in the solid waste budget.
Okay, thank you.
So we have a litter program, and we pick up litter. I believe it's 3 times a year, correct, Angie? We're required to do that.
Correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So there's some information about our litter program.
Mary, the only change I need to make on that,
Yeah.
based on how things are going to play out, the extra money on litter abatement, I know, we usually, match the employees' pay, Marty's pay is usually around 16.
Yes.
Instead of the extra money, I really don't need that many supplies and equipment. It's going to we're going to do it both. So it's just like this. We get around 30,500 litter abatement every year. I have the ability to give the city their money, the city of Danville. And seeing that they no longer need my assistance, that I am going to give them their part of litter abatement come January 1, which is roughly $7,250.
Okay.
Therefore, they can do their own litter in the city limits of Danville. And the rest can just go with Marty's salary, so that will help a little bit. The rest of it, which is about what, 23,000, somewhere around there roughly.
Yeah.
But there'll be no more out here on the bypass, which is in city limits. Anywhere that's in the city limits, Marty will not be responsible for anymore. Houstonville Road, anything that is within the city limits now, they will have their own litter abatement. They can do their own reporting to the state. Just so, if I'm not getting funded, then we'll just let them do their own litter control also.
Okay, so I'll adjust the proposed budget line item down by $7,250 from the $14,000 that's currently in the budget. Okay. Thank you. Then our solid waste contract, the 366 line item, is specifically for M&M/Republic Services. And it includes Johns in the wintertime, porta-johns and heaters in the wintertime. and an average monthly disposal of $34,133 a month. So that's what's in that $425,000. Let's hope we don't go over that because we increased it by $25,000 from this year, and it looks like we're going to go over budget this year. And then we have, no longer are we paying for e-scrap, thanks to Miss Angie. None of those line items for tire disposal, facility supplies, vehicle repair and maintenance, none of those line items have been increased or decreased. The only one we've increased a little bit is for solid waste uniforms. And then we have, and that's only by $200. Their liability insurance, pretty stable. We did increase dues and conferences. Angie wants to expand some of the associations that she's affiliated with. So we've increased that by $300 for her. No, $300, yes. So not a big jump. Our renew and repairs are the same. Our utilities, I had to increase by $1,000 just to give a little buffer. Our educational line items are the same. And you can see here where I have listed some of the new equipment. We were going to pick up a compactor box, but we did not do that this year. We did purchase some smaller items under renew and our replacements. We did do some Mitchellsburg compactor repairs in the amount of around $5,000 and some Alum Springs compactor repairs in the amount of $1,800. The budget for next year is just routine replacements. And that's $2,500.
As of right now, all outside of Alum Springs Park being gone and not put back on one of them, they are all working. They're all fixed, and cross your fingers.
So, and that includes the next line item, which is your 716, which are your convenience center improvements that we had $15,000 in that budget line item. And I've put $7,500 in the next year's proposed budget just as a backup plan for any big unexpected repairs. We can leave that there, we can turn that to zero, but there's nothing that's been identified in that line item. But in the $13,667, we did do a large Forklift compactor repair, an Alum Springs compactor repair, a Ghost Pike compactor repair, and then we are working on the Ghost Pike Center water leak, which will run us around $2,500. So that's what,
complete, Mary.
is it done?
Yep, it is done, and that's about the price, right at 25. I think it's 20. I think it's like a few dollars short of 2,500. So, but it is complete and it's fixed.
Thank you. And I think that's real important because they didn't have water on site. So
No, we did not have water on site since
had-
winter time.
that was the one I insisted that we did because you have to have water on
Yes.
site. So with
Okay.
that being said, there's your $13,667. So outside of that solid waste, not a whole lot of variation from last year to this year. In fact, it's a lower budget due to the the 725 and the 716 account. Anybody have any questions about that?
Apparently no questions.
You need a motion to approve?
It's a workshop. Unless you want to change anything. Yeah, let's have a motion to approve the changing of the litter abatement line item from 14,000.
Reduced by 7,200.
I think it's 7250. Might as well say 7300, I believe. Let me hold on. I'll give you the exact. I
Yeah.
had the state give me the.
So maybe it's what she said is $6,750. Maybe we just make it
$7,455.30, Mary.
what is it?
7455.30.
So we'll just make it let's just make it $7,000.
Okay, that's fine. Whatever,
That's
however
okay.
you want to.
We'll make it
That'll
round
have
and
the party salary and the salary aspect of him and
Okay,
But
we'll
that's-
make that
I have
motion.
M&M
wait a minute, wait a minute.
education money, so you know I'm good.
I need to clarify that. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. So I need to reduce the revenue, not the expenditure side of this. It's the revenue side of this, which is on your front page that litter abatement, and it's $30,000. There it is, 30,000. I'm gonna do less $7,500.
That makes sense to me.
30,500. So yeah, a little less than the revenue, but
So I'm gonna leave the $14,000 there in the expense line and no, we probably need to reduce that too to 7,000. Okay. And that's.
Okay, we'll
and
make the motion that we make both those reductions on
Thank
the revenue inside.
Okay, I have a motion to make both of those adjustments in the litter abatement program. Is there a second?
Second by Ellis.
Seconded by Alice. Discussion? All those signify your vote by name.
Caywood, yes. Salmon, yes.
Ellis, yes.
Okay, yes.
Hunt, yes. Is there any additional votes?
Short, yes.
Short, yes.
education, brush.
All right, motion passes. Next, is that all for solid waste, Mary, Angie?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Or we'll move on to recycling workshop.
Okay, so first and foremost, revenue, and the 2021 budget in your revenue, do you see the $26,880? That's the revised amount that we will get from material because I took the $48,120 out of the revenue line. So that's what the city was giving us. So I've reduced that line item from $75,000 in the revenue, recycling revenue, from $75,000 to $35,000. I'm hoping we get more money for material, but that may not be the
Well,
case.
well, the price of cardboard's gone up, so we've got some couple of nice checks coming. So for a change,
Yeah.
so that's helping a little bit. I'm hoping the white paper and this paper grinder will do us some better justice. Now we're back also to the revenue that we are losing. Therefore, I will no longer take the Boyle County residents, the brush disposal. We're not getting no help anymore with that. So it's something that you all might need to look at, how we're going to accept it. I'll give you another instance as far as Danville High School received an award. I'd worked with them and with the Pepsi Cola Challenge and Keep America Beautiful. with their plastics. They placed 20th in the United States. So they're getting the teacher, Chara Murray, will be getting a check for $1,500 for her classroom. She earned lots of points to get school some recycling bins and containers. However, I just hope the person, who does the litter and the programs for the city of Danville will continue, because, if they're not going to pay me, then I'm going to spend my time in the Boyle County system more. It's not being, facetious or anything like that, but I'm just going to have to concentrate on the county.
And part of the revenue that we received from the city was recycling education.
Recycling education, we used it for that. I have containers throughout the city that,
Helping that.
that I can't, if they're not going to fund me to help us, then I can't take and justify, spending all my, the recycling containers, the school, and everything.
Hey, Angie, I do want to remind you though that the city school district kids and families all live in the county.
Okay. Well, that's not a problem.
Well,
I like to work with them.
And
Well,
and
I agree
we
with
pay
you.
we pay our county taxes as well in the city school district.
Well, I don't have a problem with that, because that's one of the parts I do like. But
Well, but there's
and
not-
that's fine, and I don't mind doing that. But as far as like all the recycling containers and all the time, the litter is, most of the litter pickup comes off of this bypass here, Houstonville Road. It just,
It's on
that's
city
the
limits.
decision
And
they made. That's not the decision I made.
Well, I think you're right. I think you need to spend more time in Boyle County. They've cut it. They're going to cut us, and that's going to hurt. Getting back to what Jason's arguing about the money, this is.
I mean, I work with everybody that don't have, I try to spread myself as thin as I can, to do whatever it takes, because I'm passionate of what I do. But, I can't just, I just concentrate on other things, what I need to do.
This reminds me of had a conversation with Mike Rogers about runs for EMS. And if you look at the map that he has, a big concentration is, of course, in the city of Danville. About half of our population is the city of Danville. So if they're going to well, yes, Jamie, they do pay taxes, but if they're going to utilize more of a service, then they need to contribute as well, not just, pay what everyone else pays, but still continue to overuse a service and overuse our director. And that's kind of always been the philosophy behind it. So when you have a new person that comes into town, you should have maybe spent a little more time actually analyzing things instead of just going in and making a lot of deep cuts while continuing to spend on consultants. So
I agree with you. I agree with you 200%, Jason.
Again, I'm just making the point that we're all county residents, and that's the important thing that I want us to keep in mind. I'm not
a correct
pleased
point.
I'm not pleased with the city's decision in this, but I think it's important to recognize that all of my district is within the city limits of Danville, and we're all county residents. So that's important.
Jamie, I absolutely agree with you, and I wouldn't have that. I really particularly don't have a problem doing whatever it takes, but they need to realize, the city people also need to realize that they need to help our case too. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I
Jamie,
mean,
I
they need to understand what I do.
I think we ought to point Jamie to go talk to the new city manager and tell him what Jason just said and kind of
we
educate
have
him
two
on
big
what's
festivals.
going on.
one of the
You
things
have the
I'd like to,
Brass Band Festival, and you also have the Big Barbecue Festival. If they're not going, my men are the ones that get up at 4 a.m. to clean them streets up. That's part of the deal thing. I'm using my men to clean up the streets, and now it's not funded. You know, there I put the trash cans up, they get up 4 o'clock in the morning. They use our budget to, you know, to them men to clean it up, and, you know, and it's just not going to happen.
The
Amen.
litter money comes to the cities and the counties to do this. And because they supported the solid waste department, we went ahead and picked up and did the cities and the counties. You know, if there's money available for the cities to do this themselves. And so they parcel that out like that. So it's not that we take all that money. That money was new money. How many years ago? 12 years ago. And we just decided because they supported the solid waste coordinator and some of the solid waste efforts, that we would, because we had the staff, to go ahead and do that, and they appreciated us doing that for them. So, you know, that money's parceled out separately.
And let's hope that maybe they have the same kind of thought process when they're charging Perryville and Junction City people their water and sewer rates, that like, oh, we're all kind of in the county, so maybe we should all pay the same rates, but that's not happening. So let's move on.
Amen.
All right, so going back to the revenue, you can see the revenue that you have, and I've broken that down from 2021 budgeted, 19-20 projected, and then your 18-19 through 15-16 actual fiscal years. All right, so now that's the revenue that you receive for recycling. I've been here in years where it's been very exciting that we broke even in the recycling efforts, except for the solid waste coordinator's salary. So under recycling, the salaries that are listed are recycling salaries specific to actually doing recycling operations over and above the solid waste coordinator. Her salaries are not included in this department. So it's the 5217 line items that are on the next page after the solid waste, if you want to follow along. So there you have those salaries. And I guess I've jumped the gun. Under expenses, I did sit down and total the 2021 budgeted expenses and showed you that, oh, I've never seen it this big. We have a projected liability of $235,131 in your budget, in your proposed budget, with the loss of the city revenue. In 1920, our projected liability is around 129,000. One of the things we have to remember during the last couple of years is that recycling material has taken a pretty big dive. We're not receiving, the big checks that we used to. Recycling material, sometimes there's a question that we're asked: is it actually economical to recycle? Well, responsibly, yes, to take care of our Mother Earth, it is responsible to recycle. But is it going to start costing us as much as disposing of our stuff in landfills? And in the last couple of years, we've kind of been teetering on that edge. But you can see now, going back to 2018-19 actual down to 14-15 actuals, in the fiscal year 14-15, recycling services only cost us $25,800. For the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, our average annual cost has been around $47,900. Well, that's, to me, a good bang for your buck. And that's, with the city participating, and because that's where their funding goes. And we've always left it there because that's where it originated back in 1989. So I've always kind of put it in that portion of the budget, even though it's for something other than that. But it does make the recycling more palatable. But the last couple of years now, we're edging up to a substantial amount of money that we're paying for recycling. Recycling salaries, again, % increase. This also includes 1/3 of the soil conservation employee salary when not engaged in animal removal services. And I call this department soil conservation because we're doing this service on behalf of soil conservation. So I'm a little funny. I don't like to use the term dead animal removal. I don't think it flows nicely off the lips. And so if you hear me talk about soil conservation, that's what I'm talking about. But all of the full-time benefits are being recorded under the soil conservation department, except for the Social Security and retirement. The 1/3% of or any attributable salary associated with recycling, the FICA and retirement will be allocated appropriately to this department. But when I say all of the other benefits, I'm talking about health, dental, vision, workers' comp, because that job is primary, so workers' comp cannot be split. The law does not allow me to split workers' comp. Unemployment, which is the first $7,000 of salary. So all of the other budgeted benefits are under soil conservation. Are there any questions about that? Okay. Sick leave, retirement, we do have an employee who's planning on retiring. So there is a budgeted amount of $3,825 that we've been able to kind of do a projection. And then we have the recycling facility maintenance. This year, we still have an overhead door that's in that projection, not one next year. So that budget went from $4,700 to $2,000. You know, the rest of those line items are pretty much the same. Now, I did increase the contractual services for chipping because I wasn't quite sure where we were with the brown matter. I think they talk about that for soil conservation, but that's what that line item specifically is, as well as chipping for those who bring brush to the convenience center from, let's say, Mary Conley's backyard when I trim my trees. So that chipping may serve a variety of purposes, as well as, you know, again, you know, the city brings their, even though I think they have a land farm, I don't think they accept any brush, I mean, at their land farm.
No, and hopefully, well, we're hoping that Cox and Tears will be here hopefully within the next 2 weeks.
Fingers
to
crossed,
follow
yeah.
that up, and then we can decide from there. But they're just coming in to chip it. There won't be no removal fee.
Right.
Just chipping service.
So that's included in your projection, because we've not done any chipping yet this year. So I'd like to get that
Right.
done and paid for before June 30th.
We're trying our best to get them here, Mary.
I know you are, and I appreciate that. And then we did increase facility supplies by $1,000. It just, even though we're not going over, we'll see where that takes us. There was a request by the solid waste coordinators to increase that. And then we have fuel that I increased a little bit, which may not be an issue if we're not going to be, no, fuel is, never mind. Fuel is for picking up all of the recyclables throughout the city and the county and bringing it back to the recycling center. And they recycle that using, and those are those recycling bins. Ghost Pike, those places where I take my recycling because it comes back to us. So anyway.
Thank you, Mary. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I put my paper in the box under my desk this morning. So
I like white paper.
yes, good white paper. So there's your fuel. We increased that by $300, and then we have uniforms that remain the same, and then we have miscellaneous, which are for advertising for staffing positions if we need to. Liability insurance had to increase because Angie keeps buying all this new equipment with grant money. So she gets these big grants, and we got to insure it.
And
So
hopefully we get another one.
yes, so that's pretty much the driver there. Dues and memberships, though, we've reduced. We're not contributing to the Bluegrass Regional Recycling Center any longer. Angie's doing her own, she's buying,
Brokering.
yeah, she's doing, we're not paying somebody to broker anymore except for Angie. Then we have utilities. I've reduced a little bit. We're not spending that kind of money. It may have been just because we had a good year, but I dropped that back $500. We did add a recycling chute. Do you want to talk about the chute?
Yes. The sorting line up there, of course, everybody's up there and seen the sorting line. And as it goes out, there's a window where the excess trash goes out. Well, right now we're putting a dumpster up on the deck, and then they're moving it daily to take it down so it can be emptied the next morning. So I've asked Public Works to help me design a chute that will go out that space and go down and straight into the dumpster, where we don't have to move the dumpster from dock to street level. It should be, I don't think it'll be that expensive, but that's something that I've asked Dwayne and his crew to sort of help me with.
Everybody good with that? All righty.
Yes,
Moving right along. As Magistrate Sammons would say, we have our recycling grant education, which is based on the grant that should have been attached to your budget, to your notes, so you know exactly what we've got in the budget for next year, and you can kind of keep those as a reference. And under new equipment for this year, in the 1920 projection, you can see that we had a paper cutter, but that's not going to be purchased. So instead, we're going to spend $51.95 on a forklift rotator, and then another half of her cell phone. We did some electrical. Unfortunately, with the last grant that we had, to install a piece of that equipment, it required some expansive electrical installation, and this was the additional amount that the grant did not cover, $633.50. So we took it out of new equipment, and then we had facility paint and sprayer of $426. Next year's budget, we have a staging trailer that I'll let Angie talk about, and then I have routine replacements of $1375. You want to talk about the staging trailer? Huh?
Stage and trailer. What are we talking about?
We're talking about a trailer that held your recyclable materials.
Yes, and I put that in the grant.
Oh, you put that in the grant?
Oh, yes, I asked for that in the grant.
Oh, well, we said it in the budget meeting too, so.
I'm going to try to get whatever I can out of the grant, and after that, we might yell.
I don't see it in the grant.
Yes, it's your
A steer loader, a forklift, a paper cutter, a protainer, and recycling
there you
container.
go, protainer.
Protainer.
Protainer is the containers that I need, that I want to replace.
Oh, you had talked about literally a trailer that went on a trailer truck that you could pull.
That's them. But I didn't want a box. I wanted the recycling trailer, the bins like that we can pull, and that's what they are from Protainer.
Oh, okay. I apologize.
No, that's no. That's not no problem.
Well, and this is one of those areas where I was gonna suggest, if it's not in the grant, that we postpone these type of items.
Oh, wait,
if at
oh,
all
I know what
possible.
you're talking about, Mary. I've messed up. No, you didn't mess up. I messed up. I
Okay,
talked about them, but I also talked about a tractor trailer, but
that's what I'm talking about.
yes, a staging trailer, yes. That's why I have Rita. Rita's got to keep me straight in things that the staging just sort of just threw me off for a minute.
That's what you called it. I wrote it down.
Yeah, just put Angie's crazy. Okay.
So again, is this something that can be
Well,
pushed off for a year?
I'm working
Is
at
it-
it. If
I
I'm
would
gonna
think we need
retire,
to
I need
push
to go,
this
I need to get a crazy pension too. But anyhow, Bluegrass Recycling owned one of the trailers that we had out here on the dock
Right.
to store materials in. So normally I got rid of Bluegrass Recycling. I don't pay their dues. They come got their trailer. And Central Kentucky Fiber, we had one because they thought they deserved all the cardboard. And when they didn't want to pay me what somebody else paid me, they threatened to take the trailer, and I told them to take the trailer. So having that been said, I got two, and one's going to soon need some repair, which is not a big deal. But I'd like to have another one to maybe keep my paper dry. Because if paper gets wet, it's no good. And I'm sure we can find somebody around here maybe with a used one, or anybody knows of any,
This is a 53-foot trailer. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah,
that's what I'm wanting. Yes. I apologize, Mary.
that's all right.
Answer Magistrate Gay's question.
I'm sorry.
Is this an essential piece of equipment that is needed for the processes?
Yes.
So this
I
isn't
need
something that we
storage
can
space.
push
I
off.
need storage space. The paper,
this
with
is-
the paper, if I sit the paper out and it gets wet, it's no good, Jamie. So I'm gonna have to say, and I'm not looking for a new one. If someone can sell me one for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, I'm just as happy. It's just for storage only, so I'm not looking for anything expensive or anything that's roadworthy.
Yeah, we based the price off of the last trailers we bought outright, and there was two of them. We paid $9,000 for them. That's what I based the price off of, and that was,
And I think we could probably
two
get them
of 'em?
cheaper.
no, we paid $9,000, 18 total
Oh, okay.
is what we
I think we
paid
could
for.
actually probably find them cheaper, so I'm not looking to spend that much. But is it essential for the purpose of storing paper? Yes. Because I don't have a great big facility up here. I can't. I only got so much dock space, and that's why the cardboard's
Stored it.
piled outside.
Stored at Jamie's house.
Be nice, Jason.
I've
Why
got
now?
plenty I need to break out now to answer your problem.
But like I said, I'm not going to go out and try to find a big expensive one. I'm just hopefully looking for someone that's got a cheap one, just trying to get it off the lot somewhere. Or
Okay, thank
Angie,
you.
could you use
Yes.
those the ones over on Ghost Pike that they always try to sell, like the train car looking ones? I don't know what they're called, but I'm talking
they
about the big
asked
metal
me
ones.
about them, but we have two of them out front here. But they're really the only problem I have with them. They're not high enough.
Oh yeah, okay.
Reach
I
up
was just trying to
If
help.
if
Sorry.
I could stack two or three high, then it's
Yeah.
that's the problem with them. Or I would.
Sorry, I was just trying to help. That makes sense.
Oh no, that's fine. I've looked for any help I can get.
Jailer's got extra space in his jail now. Just coming up with good ideas.
Keep this in the budget, or does it need to be amended? Magistrate Gay, what is your pleasure? You have any thoughts on this?
I mean,
Based on-
it's up to you all. I'm just saying that, I've set the cardboard all outside just to save that extra room, for the things I have. But,
I'm good with leaving it in. I'm good leaving it in now, but we may need to look at it once we get down to the sharpening of the pencil
Understand.
coming down the stretch.
understand.
Would it make any sense to start looking for a used one just to see what the market is out there?
I can.
Yep.
And the
Well,
same
it
way
did-
with you, Magistrate Caywood, if you hear of any or see
Yeah.
any, or just let me know.
I somewhere there's got to be some place to put the word out that you're looking for a used one and what you need, and you don't know till you throw the line out there.
Absolutely.
All for next year's budget after July 1.
Right.
So we're going to move along. We're going to leave that new equipment line item at 11,375, and the last line item is the grant equipment. And this year we got the paper grinder and the sorting line and baskets, and the budget for the rest of the equipment is attached. And she's gone over that with you whenever you approve the grant application. So that concludes that thrilling discussion about recycling and solid waste.
Move right along.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for that.
Right
Definitely a
along.
lot of waste.
Very good report. Wasn't long enough, but it's a good one.
All right.
We ready for Dwayne? You and Dwayne, Mary? I see his smiling faces on camera now.
Oh, Dwayne, you awake?
He's not the one in his jammies, Phil.
I enjoy being at home, Judge, because I've already drank 5 cups of coffee.
Well, you'll be taking a bathroom break here if you hadn't already done it, won't you?
He's already had 3.
Oh, I
We
could-
haven't had to call recess.
All right.
I'm gonna have lunch. I'm gonna have lunch in a few minutes while we talk.
Mic on, Dwayne.
Come on. Nope.
Are you on?
There we go.
There you go. All right. Now you can defend and discuss your workshop presentation.
All right, we're going to that, or we're going to do the other two items of business.
Let's do the county road aid agreement first. I have,
Didn't hear any of that, Judge. Jen?
I
Okay.
have that before me. Let's
Can we
go
go
over
ahead?
that.
All right,
We'll go right down the line,
okay.
okay?
We've received a new county road aid agreement, an amended, an agreement, and actually what amounts to is an amended amount, based on, the reduced amount of gas tax that's been received, that's coming in. So our previous county road aid agreement that you have already approved, and we've already signed and sent back to them, was for $705,369.82. Our new amended county road aid amount is $618,797.62, for a reduction of about 87,000. So I don't think we have any choice but to accept this new amount and this new agreement, but it's the same type of agreement you've already seen, and this is where the major portion of the funding for the Public Works Department comes from.
Gay will make the motion that we approve the amended county road aid agreement.
Reluctantly.
Second to the motion? Is there a second to the motion? Made by Magistrate Gay,
I'll second it.
seconded by Magistrate Cullen. I will say, make a statement on this during discussion, that a lot of county judges across this state have been frustrated with this percentage reduction in the county road aid It's not just Boyle County. This is statewide. Something they have done because of the reduction in the gas tax receipts or revenues during the COVID-19 basis of time.
So you're saying the state reduced money because of COVID, right?
That's part of the
Okay.
reason. It's not completely all of it. It's part of it, yeah.
Okay. Now, I would think roads are pretty essential. So if they're going to reduce funding of things that are extremely essential, we may want to look at that too. But that's just me.
This reduction is not something that the state actually did. This reduction is based on the fact that we're traveling less, the gas prices have gone down, so it's not all directly related to COVID. A big part of that's the gas price, and sadly,
Of course it's
it's
related to COVID.
not directly. No, not all that barrel of oil. The cost of a barrel of oil is not related to COVID. Sorry.
When you've got the whole world saying stay at home, don't travel, of course it's related to COVID.
No,
That's where all that money comes from.
You've got Saudi Arabia and Russia arguing and competing with each other. That's a big part.
Yeah, because there's not so much demand on their product. It's supply and demand.
That's true. Anyway, sadly, the way Kentucky
moving right along.
set up, it will take us a long time to recover from that because of the way that our gas tax is set up. That's the downside to that.
You are absolutely correct, and that's why the need for hopefully the gas tax increase will go through. We need it now more than ever. And yes, I did say an increase in tax. That's the only time you'll hear me talk about an increase in tax because it's a consumption tax.
That's
that
true.
Other people that come through our state utilize our roads, utilize everything. They fill up. They should be paying for it too, not just the citizens of Kentucky.
That's exactly right. And
You're right.
and the way we figure it, the way we calculate it is part of the issue, not just the amount of tax, but the way it's calculated. That's why I say the way it's set up right currently, it will take a long time to recover, and that's part of the issue that needs to be addressed. Not necessarily just the rate, but just the way that it's calculated. And I don't fully understand all that, but anyway. Okay. Did we finish that? Sorry.
Moving right along.
Did we vote on that?
No, we have not voted on that. Is there any more discussion? The motion is to approve the amended county road aid agreement and allow me to sign for the county. And we will record each magistrate's vote by name.
Salmons, yes.
Ellis, yes.
Gay, yes.
Cullen, yes.
Caywood, yes.
Patrick Short, are you online?
I don't see him on
Yes.
there.
Magistrate Short, yes.
There he is.
And Judge Hunt, yes. So that motion to accept the
And sign
618 passes and will be so recorded on those votes.
Judge?
Do we
Yes,
each
ma'am.
have to sign this? I see the back page.
No.
No, we just need to write the name. I need to write the name and your vote under the I column.
So
Gotcha.
can we amend because you said an agreement, but there's also a resolution, or do we need, because there's two legal documents here. One's a resolution, and we've always done these together, naming them separately or separately.
I don't understand the procedure of two separate documents. I know we did this last year. I made the motion on the agreement. There needs to be a resolution on the back. I wish they weren't separated. It's addressed for the same purpose and issue. So let's have a separate motion on the resolution, which the names will be recorded too.
I'll make the motion on the resolution as well. Magistrate Gay.
All right,
Cullen will second it.
seconded by Magistrate Cullen. Probably no need for further discussion. Is there any? All those in favor signify by voice vote. Vote with name.
Cullen, yes.
Gay, yes.
Ellis, yes.
Caywood, yes.
Hammond, yes.
Patrick Short, did I hear your vote? Hunt, yes.
Oh, he's back on the screen.
Patrick Short, did you register a vote? Apparently you can't hear us.
Short, yes.
All right, thank you. That motion on the resolution passes unanimous. Thank you. All right, next.
The next item is the salt bids for 2020/21. The bids will take place on June the 10th, 11th, and 12th, the reverse auction through CAECO. So we need an approval to advertise for bids.
I make that motion, we got advertise for bids. Salmons.
All right. Is there a second to the motion to advertise for bids for salt?
Ellis, second.
Second to Magistrate Ellis. Discussion on anything relating to the 2021 salt bid reverse auction. This is held by CAECO, is my understanding. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's correct.
Wayne,
How did we
where do
do?
we stand on what we had left over?
We have, some counties apparently have received notices from their salt providers that they were going to have to, purchase the remainder of their obligation. We have not been contacted by Detroit Salt as of yet. So we really don't know what their thinking is or what their, where they stand on that.
Might that be an added cost?
Well, Mary, it would be in Mary's, we've accounted for that in this year's budget as far as projection.
Okay, thank you.
And in addition to that, this CAECO, when they put this out for bid, for this year's auctions, unlike last year's, there's no 70/130 clause. So I
Yes.
don't know if that'll increase the price, just to let
Right.
you know what we're,
That's right. In this upcoming year's bid, there is no guarantee this time. We're going back to the way we used to do it. We just buy it as needed.
I kind of like that better, to tell you the truth. A lot better. Okay, no further discussion. Vote to, as on the motion to advertise for the 2021 salt bids, reverse auction. Signify with your vote by name.
Colin, yes.
Gay, yes.
Caywood, yes.
Salmons, yes.
I don't have everybody.
Short, yes.
Okay. Is there any other votes to be cast? Hunt, yes. Motion carries. Thank you for that. All right, next, the Public Works Budget Workshop.
oh, the thrilling part of our meeting. All right. There's a road department section in your spreadsheet budget after the general fund. I don't know how many pages back, and I apologize for that. And then there were a set of notes. I hope everybody received your set of notes. Because I work really hard on those, so I hope they're beneficial.
They are very beneficial.
So starting off with the budget revenue, I kind of outlined what each line item was and what was included in the projection and what was to be budgeted. A lot of our budgeted line items for flex, bridge replacement, and discretionary if we get the money, that's when they'll be determined. And we did just recently determine flex, but there were a numerous amount of roads listed under flex that you all will be considering, I guess, at a later date. So, but this past year, we received, we got a delayed payment from 18-19. So that's why that's inflated. That line item's inflated. Because we received $101,448 from the 18-19 fiscal year for Winter Hawk and a portion of Ghost Pike. And then in 19-20, obviously we did Ghost Pike and White's Ridge. Your bridge replacement program this year did Ward's Branch, Die Hollow, and a Quarry Road deck replacement. And discretionary was Crawford Hollow, Bull Lane, Watkins Road, Hayes Lane, Salt River, Webster, and Irvin Road. Now, your total projected budgeted revenue is $1,148,476 compared to the $1,294,000. So we're right in the same range, and a lot of that was due to, it was not, your truck license distribution is an amount that's given to me by the Department for Local Government, and your driver's license refunds are just exactly that. And they do not vary. They've been pretty much the same amount since I've been here. So, and then your county road aid, I had heard, and we don't need to really change that line item. I had already gotten an inkling from the Commonwealth that that contract was going to be resubmitted and the county was going to have to accept a lower amount. So when I was preparing the budget, I just looked into my crystal ball and I put $600,000 in that line item, and I'd like to leave it at $600,000, even though it was $618,000. Because I'm not sure we're going to get this year what we budgeted, the $687,200. Right now is at $675,765. So we'll see if we get a final payment. Does anybody have any questions about the revenue? All right. In going through my detailed general ledger, and just not that I'm passing the buck, but I don't key in the revenue and I don't key in the expenses. So I saw that there was $100,000 under discretionary, and I just thought that that was a discretionary payment. Well, after I started digging through it, because it said it was from the Commonwealth of Kentucky, that actually was a check that was from Boyle County Fiscal Court, and it was a transfer in and not a piece of revenue. So I have to pull that out, and I need to modify our carryover because this projected fiscal year, there should be $100,000 in transfers in because it was transferred in at the beginning of the year. So your carryover needs to be $164,163. And then your transfers in this year will only be $16,973. So if I could change those two 2021 proposed budget lines, surplus, increase it $100,000, and transfers in, decrease that by $100,000, your general fund would greatly appreciate that.
Gay will make that motion.
All right. The motion is to make those budget adjustments as presented, made by Magistrate Gay. Is there a second?
Caywood second.
Seconded by Magistrate Caywood. Discussion on anything that was presented? If there being none, a voice vote with the name, please.
Gay, yes.
Caywood, yes.
Ellis, yes.
Simmons, yes.
Colin, yes.
Magistrate Short. Oh, let's get on his phone.
Short, yes.
All right, got it. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. So that motion passes. We'll make those budget adjustments, Mary.
Okay, so, going back to Magistrate Collins', conversation, this reduces that eating into the surplus by $100,000. So now we're at 550,000. So that's why I say as we move through this process, it's an ever-moving target. So, that being noted,
That has me relieved, Mary. I'm glad to hear we've already cut into that nice massive number. You know what? Let's
can we? Found a mistake I made.
Oh my gosh, can we maybe let's throw in another convenience center on the eastern part of Boyle County while we're at it with that extra savings.
Okay, so I just thought I would add that to that. Okay, so let's move
I
into
appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, and let's move into the expenses, and I thank you all for making that change. So let's see. Under our expenses, let's see, insurance rate. There's some in your notes. I've notated what some of your miscellaneous line items actually captured, if you're interested. But now under expenses, the 1920 overhead door replacement in facility repair and maintenance. All of those I think there's one more door replacement, and I was told it was going to be $1,500. So our repair and maintenance for the facility has been reduced to $6,000 from $8,200. Salaries, again, there is a 3% increase effective 1/1/2021. Facility maintenance supplies, I decreased by $250. I increased facility telephone by $50. Utilities are the same, salaries. Now, one of the things I did have a conversation with the county engineer, and included in the budget is, I guess, the last hire, and the last hire I was unaware of did not accept the position. So we have a position open, and we will not be filling that position. Is that correct? Yes.
Yes.
So there's a savings there, and that includes, since that's a full-time employee, that includes $12,000 in benefits that will be saved along with that position that is currently recorded in. So if it's currently in the budget, if you would like me to, I can modify the budget for the fiscal year to reduce that by one person.
I'll make that motion that you reduce that by one person, Gay.
Is there a second to the motion?
Caywood, second.
Caywood seconds the motion to reduce the budget by one person. Is there any further discussion on that?
I guess would ask that would just be for this next fiscal year, and that be a possible, for new discussion that in the next fiscal year.
Of course.
Everybody understand? This is a 1-year suspension of funding for one position. All right. All those in favor signify your vote with name, please.
Okay, yes. Looks like we're getting a Cullen hand signal, yes.
Okay.
Caywood, yes.
Short, yes.
Ellis, yes.
Salmon, yes. Salmon, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I believe that's everybody. Magic Short, yes. He's on the phone. All right, and so the motion passes to do that. That
All right,
act-
thank you. Let's see. Oh, I apologize. So now let's see, we're down to garage supplies. I've reduced that by $1,000 just because historically, when you look at garage supplies, they've never hit the 7,500. So I mean, they don't even come close to the 65. Well, they did one year. That was many years ago, but I reduced it to $6,500. Maintenance and construction. What we have here is I've listed some of our construction projects. We originally increased it to 80,000. For this fiscal year, moved it down to 80. Let's see, the 1920 budget was originally increased, but amended it to 90,000. Yeah, okay. So last year it was originally 80,000 and we amended the budget to 90,000. And we amended it because of salt. But I lowered that back down to 80,000. Even with the salt that we purchased this year, we're at 80,000. And I wish I could turn that down. Let me turn that down.
Okay.
I apologize. My phone rings a lot sometimes. So this year's projection, I did list some of the things that we did under maintenance and construction. We had some salt purchases. You can see there at $13,164. And then here's the piece that Dwayne was talking about is there's even built into this $79,000 that I have projected, $24,750 if we have to buy out that Detroit salt contract. We did some strip patching on Godby Lane, Stony Point, Gwynn Island Road. We removed trees on Quarry Road and Gwynn Island Road, and we did a Riverview tile placement. So those were some of the highlights. Why I do that, I don't know. I just think it's kind of fun to put it on a piece of paper. Then we have the next line item is your machinery and equipment. I dropped that down another $5,000. So it was 50,000. I moved it down to 45,000 because historically, you know, one year we hit 48,000, but in the last 3 years, we've been at 37,000, 34,000, and 25,000. So I reduced it just by 5,000 just to kind of, you know, help. And this year's projection included a couple of John Deere repairs, one to a radiator and one to a hydraulic pump. And then we had some backhoe tires that we purchased. The long arm had to be repaired. Dump truck number 13 was repaired, and our backhoe cylinder was repaired. So those were some substantial repair items that I kind of pulled out of that $37,111. Does anybody have any questions so far? Petroleum, I dropped by $3,000. The signage material, we're going to go over budget and we're covering that. Unfortunately, I'm hoping that I guess the COVID sign raids are going to cease once everybody gets back into school or wherever they need to be, work, whatever. So I kept that budgeted the same. Tools, I dropped down to $800. We routinely annually spend $500 to $600 in tools. So I made that $900 in tools down to $800. There was no big tool or anything that anybody had mentioned to me. This year's uniform line item dropped down from 5,000 to 500 because this is a non-replacement year for uniforms. We kept dues and registrations the same at $2,500 because we do still have 3 individuals trying to gain their Rhodes Scholar certification, which is always a good thing. Educated employees. And the Rhodes Scholar program is a very, very good program. Now let's talk about new equipment. Our 2020 projected, we purchased a 2-ton dump truck with a salter and a plow for $131,183. We purchased an impact wrench that was budgeted and it came in below budget. And we didn't really have any routine replacements and we budgeted $2,500. The 2021 budget includes a vehicle code reader. And that's the thing that interprets the codes on equipment for error message and what's wrong with the piece of equipment or vehicle. And then we have a backhoe tile cleaner attachment that goes on a backhoe and actually inserts into a tile, and then you pull it out and you can clean out debris to allow for free flowing tiles for the movement of water, and routine replacements of $2,500. That's what's in the current budget for public works at $13,500. Are there any questions?
The code reader is a very good price, in my opinion, and the tile cleaner will prove to pay for itself several times over in the short near future.
I would also like to include that the engineer asked for other items, one of those being an asphalt hot box trailer, 2-ton for $20,000, and that was delayed. There was also there was a truck, a F-350 utility truck that was delayed for $50,000. So there was $70,000 in budget line items that were delayed after speaking with the finance committee.
Yes, thank you for making that point, Mary, because I do think it's important to recognize that that Public Works did take some vehicle and other items out of their budget.
I agree.
And another item I need to bring up is, and it's been in your last 3 budget workshops, actually, it's also included in EMS's, but there are, I believe, and they'll be in your general fund budget notes, but I didn't put in a copier, nor did I put in a computer. We have those built into a general fund IT, I guess, pool of computers that all need to be replaced, that are all in the same situation. So the accounts payable one, or the purchase order computer out there at Road EMS, is in there with the county tax administrator's office, the county judge's accounts payable computer. We have, there's more than just that one computer that needs to be replaced. So that was pulled out, and we're gonna replace 1 out of the 4, I believe there are, and then put 1 as a reserve item. So 2 of them aren't going to be replaced this year. We've delayed 2 of those. Now, the 1 reserve, we have 1 that we're going to replace, but then there's 1 in reserve. So whoever computer maybe goes down first, then gets that reserve line item. And then the copier, we have more than just their copier that needs to be replaced. So we need to have a conversation about copiers as well. So that's, and is there, the overhead doors are in there, and then the waxing of the floors are in the facility repair and maintenance for $1,000. And I think that's all that there was for the Public Works Department. So Next listed are your, we put $30,000 in capital projects for roads. That's just an amount that we put in that line item. It doesn't always get used. It wasn't used this year. It wasn't used last year, but it has been used in the past for overages, emergency road projects, etc. So unless you want to take that out, we've always kind of had a habit of keeping that money in there. And then there's your flex projects, your discretionary projects, your bridge projects. Again, 80/20 is being offered to us, 80% reimbursement on $100,000 worth of bridge projects. We did this year, in this projection year, spend $43,500 on an emergency road project that the Commonwealth helped us fund, and that project was Neeld Road. And then on down from those, we have our liability insurance and our vehicle insurance. I did increase the vehicle insurance by by $2,500, it looks like. The liability remained the same. And then the benefits, Social Security, retirement, and the benefits for employees, again, that last section will be reduced by 1 employee. So that's the road department budget. So the budget last year at $1,577,000 is with actual expenses of $1,923,000, and that increase was due to the discretionary funding that we received over and above what we budgeted. And then this year's budget is proposed of $1,329,613. It's a good budget.
Agree.
Good job, Mary.
Entertain a motion.
Simons makes a motion to approve the budget.
Second.
Ellis seconds.
Seconded by Magistrate Ellis. Motion made by Magistrate Simmons. Any further discussion over what's been presented? Comments are directed either at the treasurer or the county engineer? Seeing none, please signify your vote with name, please.
Simmons, yes.
Gay, yes.
Ellis, yes.
Caywood, yes.
Yes.
Hunt, yes.
Cullen, yes.
I can't hear Matt Short. I see his mic is on. Thumbs up. Got it. Got the thumbs up from him. So it's unanimous. Motion carries to approve this budget projections as presented. Okay.
And
Thanks,
like
everyone.
Magistrate Gate, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dwayne.
I was just saying thank you.
And just to remind everybody, I'm gonna do a Magistrate Gate here. May 19th at 9 a.m., we have another special meeting, which is Tuesday, on animal control, building inspector, your IT/general fund. So that'll be next week. I haven't started on those notes yet, but I will start on those starting tomorrow and get those to you hopefully by the end of the week. If not, look for them on Saturday, because that's when I'll do them. Or finish them
Next
up.
Tuesday. All right, everybody got that? All right,
What time, Mary? 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock?
9
What
o'clock,
time?
9 o'clock, 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. Yeah, I know you haven't had that much to say, Mary, but it looks like you're next on the agenda. There's the treasury report.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so, you know, and I don't even know if this is even worth talking about, but I have presented the March month-end financial statements. There is a copy in each one of your boxes. I don't know if it was scanned in and emailed to you, but it's it's a substantial document. It's your March month end, or quarter end, I should say. I have not gotten, my goal was last night when I was sitting here was to do the third quarter report. There's some issues in there. I've got to work through. So I was not able to complete that for today, which was unfortunate for me because I really, really wanted to have that done. But that will be presented to you. Well, that'll go in the next day. That's my first thing I need to get done today, is sending that to Frankfurt, because they're looking for that. Your budget will not be, your first reading and me sending your budget to Frankfurt will not even be considered if you don't have your quarterly report on file up there and correct and approved. So I'm working diligently on getting that to. But one of the things I sat down and did with this quarterly report was to look at our occupational license fee and the net profits to date. There are drivers. And I don't know, I look at it in a whole lot of different ways. And I spent quite a bit of time on just kind of figuring out what, if any, what story it was telling me. Just for some basic information, comparing your occupational license revenue this year currently to last year. This year to date, we have collected $1,969,927 since January 1. So, and I'm kind of looking at that now. Overall, we have collected $4,156,776. So, since comparing to last fiscal year, since July 1 from last year, we've increased occupational tax collections $170,400. But since January, we've only had, of the $170,000, $55,400 of that has been in the last portion of to date from January 1 to now. So with that being said, just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Net profits, we have collected to date $384,770 compared to last year's, and last year's amount was $652,500. So you've got a decrease of $353,300 or $400 from last year to this year. It's hard to try to pull different components out of it, because what we're looking at are delayed filing deadlines, tax increases, which I don't think you're going to see any tax increase in the net profits, because we're still collecting what was due December 31st prior to the tax increase. Very little has come in, but that $353,000 is a lot of money. And then with the occupational tax, the increase of 170, then we've got an overall decrease right now of $183,000. So that's kind of the big picture. Now, I drilled down into the, well, I'm going to stay on net profits and then I'm going to go away from net profits. I wanted to look at the May 20th amounts. No, that's not what I wanted to look at. That doesn't really tell you anything. I'm going to go to occupational license fee. The January, February, and March collections even though there was a delay, there's also a delay in when you have to file. I think it was April, if I'm not mistaken. But the first 3 months, are not tax increases because they come from December filings because we're quarterly. But I kind of looked at April's amounts last year and this year differed. Last year it was 21,000 versus 127,000 this year. But in May, I kind of wanted to analyze that number because I'm thinking in May, hopefully which are end of April submissions, if we were to get this money as a tax increase, if we took last year's amount was 763,000 that we collected, and this year's amount is 644, which is less than last year's May. If you took the May amount and you converted it, that $763,000, and you converted it to an updated 1.25% collection, that $763,000 should have been $1,272,000, which was an increase of $509,000 instead of the decrease of $119,000 for a total decrease of $628,000. So it's just and that May figure, again, I don't work in that department, and so I don't see exactly what's coming through the door. I'm just looking at numbers on a piece of paper that doesn't show me that we're realizing anything yet, but we are realizing a decrease. And what that decline is, I can't put my finger on. And I don't know.
You're not going to be able to. I mean, I appreciate all of the work that you're putting into this. The reality is, this is all an estimate.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you from personal experience what I'm seeing. John can tell you from personal experience what he's seeing. Yeah. It will be shocking when we start getting these numbers that come in, how far off we're going to be. And that's just from businesses that stayed open, let alone all the businesses that have closed that make up this local economy. So I cannot stress enough, we need to be thinking ahead, not behind.
And all of those who have taken advantage of the unemployment process, they don't pay occupational tax out of unemployment. So they may be, and these are people with reduced, because a lot of companies have reduced their staff's workforce by the number of hours. So a lot of your employees can actually, like if my hours were cut in half, I could go and get a reduced workforce unemployment check in addition to what I'm making here. So you have those employees who are taking advantage of those as well. So they may be working, but they may not be working to the full capacity in garnering unemployment benefits. So
I think you'll have to wait.
I think we should have gotten at least some $600,000 in the last month. I don't know.
Well, you're crossing quarters, which is difficult, but actually, and Jason, in a different industry, but he's probably a little similar. When they started talking virus, traffic started slowing down, in my opinion, and we saw it. So we may not officially have closed when the governor said, but it really started shutting down before then. And after the 20th, when we could officially open back up, it's going to take a while for people to start coming back. Now, that's what I just anticipate. Jason, you might add in there to what you're seeing.
Main Street location is doing a quarter of what it normally does. My Ponder Court locations picked up a little bit of some of the business, so we're doing about average. But that means I have to fund everything that Main Street is losing. And that happened. I was shocked that the day the center students went home, my sales just tumbled. And then as the governor started requesting other places close, businesses are not open, Farmers Bank, Ephraim, all of these places have, a portion of the staff, and I'm just not seeing the business. And many of my friends on Main Street and other areas closed their businesses because they're not making enough to pay their employees, which goes back to the occupational tax, net profits, payroll taxes. We're in for a world of hurt, and we need to make some tough decisions. And some people say wait and see. And I'm not saying when John said that, but I've heard others say that we'll have to wait to see what the true outcome of this is going to be. We can't wait and see. We have to react, and we have to make a strategic reaction. So.
It's going to be a tough year for everybody, I think.
Well, especially since the net profits is down 353,000 to date through May. Because a lot of those were December fiscal year-end filers who at one point in time, had to file by March 31st. And, either they're using that December revenue for other things and not paying their taxes, and hoping to pay them by the deadline, or they should have gone ahead and just paid them to get them out of the way. But everybody does things differently. But there's a significant decline in your net profits.
Well, and that's only just the tip of the iceberg, because all the reports I've been reading are saying anywhere from 45 to 52% of small businesses are probably going to be closed and never open back up.
Yeah.
And if you look at the legislation that was passed, they considered small businesses with 500 employees or fewer. So we're not just talking small businesses like mine and John's, where, I've got 20 employees and John has his amount. We're talking a large amount of people that this is going to ripple through. So.
In the opening, and I'm going to get something off my chest. It doesn't matter. I got one employee on the floor during the day, but yet I'm being held to the same standard as the Dillards or those folks. We can operate very, very safely with one employee and a few customers that come in sporadically during the day. We can operate safely, but the governor decided that we all had to be judged the same as Jefferson County or anywhere else with large populations where it was a whole lot worse.
John, I've used your shop as an example because, if I wanted to go get some clothing from your shop, generally can't do it the way I used to be able to, but I sure as heck can walk into Walmart and go into their clothing section and buy whatever I need. So there's some very unfair practices.
We were held to the same standard, and that just doesn't make any sense. It's nothing logical about it to me. But we have to do what we are told to do. But judgment didn't play into what I just talked about, because there was no judgment at the levels of where judgment should have been. But
I
got
agree
it
with
on my chest.
I agree with that with Magistrate. I really do, John. I have followed a lot of emails and talked to a lot of county judges across the state. And maybe if Governor Beshear could hear these statements, there has been a disparate, not intentional, it was just an easy way to approach things, is to make all the paying across the wide spectrum the same, but Boyle County, Mercer County, Estill County, Robertson County are way different from Jefferson County or Fayette County. And unfortunately, the governors were afforded the latitude to adjust the response to the COVID-19 as they best saw fit for their particular states. That latitude or that adjustment or consideration was not afforded county administrators or county judge executives across the Commonwealth or in, to my knowledge, other states. So,
We run on schedule.
huh?
Well,
What's going on
my,
around you?
my prediction is there'll be
Oh, shoot.
less than 120 counties in just a few years.
You're probably right. You're probably right. I wouldn't debate that issue with you.
Well, and we can see by the federal rulings that this governor didn't always look at things the way he should have. So,
I won't debate that, Jason, but I will say he has advisors. I mean,
of course,
he's got advisors and people out in throughout the state who I just can't imagine they don't talk to the truly small mom and pops up and down the streets.
well, I think by his change of allowing people to come in and sit down in restaurants on May 22nd, when he was talking June, I think you're actually very accurate about that, because it was restaurants was going to be in June. Now, granted, my two shops, I can only have 12 in one and 16 in the other sitting down at one time. But he was hard-lined about waiting till June, but I think he got a little bit of pressure from the restaurant industry and tourism, and it changed. So reaching out and using your voice is definitely the best way to speak with the governor.
I don't want to get into the contest, and certainly everybody around the table's times, and we've been here a long time, so don't want to. I'm not going to say anything more.
I think most everybody has a copy of the March end financials. I do in my packet. I would just like to acknowledge receipt of those as presented by the treasurer on the third quarter report. She addressed that, and that will be forthcoming at a later date, at which we will go over that before it goes to DLG with preceding our budget request. So let's, if it's okay with you, Treasurer Conley, we'll move on to new business if you have nothing else under your report.
I do not, but if you'll include me in new business, I'd like to just present one item very quickly.
Well, let's go ahead and let you start out with new business.
Okay, so I received a grant by email to my office, and I have since forwarded that specifically to the jail, EMS, and the IT director, and it's from Panasonic, and it's for tough books and or other equipment that possibly could enhance our services, medical or otherwise, in our departments. And so the deadline to apply is May 29th. And as we do with all grants, this is 100%. It doesn't have a match. It's dollar for dollar. And so I would like for you all to approve moving forward with any grant application that might arise out of this grant opportunity, to allow us to go ahead and apply for these this grant. So we do that with your blessing.
Your motion to approve.
Gabe,
Okay,
Gay will make that motion.
all right. Made by Max Gay. Is there a second?
Please.
Is
I'll
there a
second
second? Who seconded it? Magistrate Cullen, is that, who seconded that?
I
Okay,
got you.
all right, is there any further discussion on the, motion of the Panasonic grant for Tough Books amongst our departments? There being none, all those in favor of, the motion signify with their vote and by name.
Cullen, yes.
Caywood, yes.
Salmon,
Yeah, yes.
yes. Short, yes.
But yes, all right, you have that motion passes. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Is that all, Mary, under new business?
That's all.
All right, we'll go around the table as is usual. We'll start with Magistrate Gay.
Thank you, Judge. Just real quick, my normal reminder to complete your census, and want to encourage everybody to do that. I did want to give you some current numbers to up our competition here a little bit. As of last night, the Boyle County self-response rate was 67.1%. Our total self-response rate in 2010 was 67.4%. So we're gaining on our total percent rate from then. However, in our direct region, Marion County has a 68.2% self-response rate at this point in time. Washington County has a 68.2% response rate. And then, so we're in third place, I would consider, in our region, followed by Mercer, Garrett, Lincoln, and Casey. So we clearly need to continue to work on getting our census information in Boyle County, online, by phone, or by mail. And we also need our whole region to continue to work to get their information in. I will, in full disclosure, though, point out that Magistrate Cullen in his district is kicking my district's butt. His district is well into the mid 70s, and my
Yes, we
district
are.
is into the low 50s. So it's kind of spread from mine to his, and so District 5
You need
needs
to
to
get
pick up their game. And
What is mine, if you know?
yours is in the kind of in between us. I want to say that yours is in the low 60s. I'd have to look at it specifically, and the lines aren't completely drawn in our district lines, as the census tract lines are not exactly the same. But anyway, so
How are we
that's it.
looking in
Get your
first district?
same out there in western Boyle, in that 45% of the county area you're talking about. You need to pick up your game a little bit too.
Gotcha.
That's all I have. Thank you all.
Thank you. Next, I guess we would go to Magistrate Short.
I don't have anything.
All right. Thank you. All right, appreciate that. Appreciate that, Magistrate Short. Next, we would go to Magistrate Cullen.
Okay. One, I have a question. Danville has made it known that they will not be opening the pool this year. They said extensive repairs is one of the main reasons. So I believe our contract or interlocal agreement, whatever you want to call it, states that anything that they don't do, we pay less. So I believe maybe that's about $19,000 that we should not be sending over to Danville with our budget. I'm trying to save you some money there, Mary. So if we could do that. Two, I'd really like to get a status update from Dwayne and General Hunt on the railroad bridge on Buster Pike. It's imperative that gets repaired. It does not get closed. They're I can only think of the catastrophes that would happen if we did not have that bridge, especially with those 2 active train tracks. You know, our EMS would not be able to get through, our fire would not be able to get through. It could be huge. You know, just not even talking about the inconvenience it would be for our residents out there. You know, the railroad, when they were asked to take on that area, you know, they made a commitment to us, and let's hold our feet to the fire on this one. And then 3, I personally want to thank all of our county citizens that have decided to shop local and really try to support this community. I appreciate it very greatly. I know all the other small business owners do, and let's make sure that as things start to open back up, we continue to think local, support those that support you. You know, when at the hub, we support a lot of different groups that come in for various donations, and so we want to continue to be able to do that. So please think local when you're shopping. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Dwayne, do you mind addressing what yours and my discussion has been regarding the bridge out there on Buster Pike, the railroad bridge?
Okay, we sent letters, we mailed letters to all the residents along South Buster Pike. I think received 7 replies, and yes, Jason, I think 6 of the 7 did reply that they would prefer that the bridge stay open, that would be repaired or rebuilt, whatever, but it can remain open. I did have one resident who did say they'd like to see it closed. So that's kind of the status of that. So I think we're ready now to create a letter and send to Kelly Baker in our district office, District 7 office, and pass on that information or those responses that we received. And that's kind of what he asked us to check into also, so that legwork has been done now. So we're ready to send that letter.
To seek repair of the bridge.
Yes.
To seek repair of the bridge. Okay.
And I should have said the judge and I had discussed that too, about those responses, and that was his feeling as well. So we just need to create that letter and send that on to.
All right. Next, if there's nothing else, then Magistrate Caywood.
Thank you, Judge. And I'd like to echo what Jason said. He said it very well. The small businesses need the local business, and everything that the citizens can do would be very much appreciated, because all the local businesses have struggled through all of this. So we appreciate it. Judge, I think our next meeting is May 21st. Does that sound right?
We have one a week from today on budget workshops.
Okay, but our next full court meeting is, did we move it for some reason?
We moved it because of Memorial Day.
Right, and we had scheduled a sheriff's committee meeting, so that needs to be, the newspaper needs to be notified that that's going to be on the 21st, I think now.
All right, we'll make sure that Ann, and
Yeah.
I'm right, we'll make that a notification of the 21st.
Appreciate it. And folks,
Are we doing?
seeing you all. So go ahead.
Yeah, John, sorry to interrupt you.
John?
21st, are we going to meet this way again?
Yes. The 19th and the 21st.
Regular court meeting is the 19th, I'm reading that correct?
Yes. There's 3 budget workshops that day.
And then court meeting, I think, Phil's the 21st. Regular court meeting's 21st.
Correct.
Because
That's adjusted from the succeeding week because of Memorial holiday.
19th at 9 and 21st at 9, correct?
Yes, sir. Correct.
Okay.
And just remember, on the 21st, you will be looking at your appropriations. So I've had one magistrate come by and look at the appropriations. So if you're interested in looking at that file,
And that's a
Up on
significant thing.
May I suggest, because I looked at it, I would suggest all of you take a look at it. Some very difficult decisions. In fact, it may be one of the most difficult meetings we've had probably. And particularly the way that we're going to have to do it makes it even more difficult. So get as prepared as you can. It will make it a little easier for everybody. So
I agree.
John, did you say sheriff's meeting? We're going to switch that to Thursday, the 21st.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Judge.
also on May 21st, we will have the first reading of the budget, correct, Mary?
yes, sir. After we determine what appropriations,
After the appropriations discussion.
yeah, then we'll decide, we'll go ahead and approve whatever, we'll make motions, put those in the budget, and then make that our first reading. But I'm going to give you a copy of your budget to true form and classification. I don't like that budget, but I'll give that to you on that day. And then from there, modify what you want me to modify with appropriations, and then forward that on to the Commonwealth of Kentucky for approval.
I assume we'll
Judge,
vote on preparation. I'm sorry, John.
if I may, and I'm sorry to interrupt, and it's so difficult to know when you can speak and when you can't speak. But anyway, and I apologize for interrupting. Judge, I don't know, and this is for the court to decide, but after going through the appropriations and thinking about it and thinking the difficulty of trying to do a meeting like that in these times, with the decisions that we're going to have to make, first is any way that we can be in a big room and protect everybody that's involved for safety reasons, but I think it would make it a lot easier. Now, that's just my opinion.
Well,
it's
it
so
would definitely make it a lot easier, but I am, we're doing this for a reason. If those people who are concerned about proximity, social distancing would accept a room like the circuit courtroom where the 8 of us could spread out, it holds 30 social distance wise. I will try to see if that might be available.
Each one can speak individually. I've got as high a risk as anybody around the table, and I'll be there because this is going to be a difficult meeting, difficult decisions to be made affecting a lot of people.
I'm echoing what John says.
Can I ask a question? That's in our next year's budget, and maybe Bill can pop on and hear if he's listening. But in the budget for next year, and I don't have the exact amount, there's streaming equipment. And one of the things that Bill told me that he has difficulty with is putting us all in a room and streaming it without certain equipment to do that. Is there a possibility that we purchase that this fiscal year as soon as we can get it in, and put it under the COVID expenses, and maybe start streaming those meetings, and maybe, because we can't do it this way in one room because of the feedback, but there is the possibility of streaming equipment with certain amount of cameras and equipment to be able to accomplish that goal with everybody in the room, but yet everybody has the opportunity to log on and watch the meeting as well.
Mary, I'd like to comment on that. I think that would be a service to our constituents. And if it needs a motion, since it's an appropriation we have not had a line item for, I would make that motion.
We don't, Bill, are you on?
I was gonna look to see if I could find how much that. Yeah, for the streaming equipment, Bill, I was looking for the quote that you gave me. Streaming-
I looked at some streaming equipment, and we're probably looking somewhere between $7,000 to $9,000, depending on how elaborate we can get. But with that said, streaming equipment is a bit tough to come by. I'm not sure how quick we can get it in.
Yeah, you gave a quote of $7,000. That's what's in the budget.
So I mean, the big issue at this point would be availability.
This will be long-term, a long-term use thing, but it could be covered under COVID because of the purpose that it'll be used. So, Magistrate Ellis, what was your motion to approve the expenditure for streaming equipment as soon as
Yes,
possible?
sir, that was correct.
I'll second that. Gay will second that.
Can we?
Good.
Can we modify that a little bit to just say that we collect proposals, or because it's over that little limit, my administrative code. So can we collect proposals and based on the best proposal, move forward with that?
And I'll amend my motion to that effect.
Second on that same amendment.
All right. Any discussion on the motion? All those signify your vote by name.
Judge, one more point to clarify for the public, since we are trying to be bare bones with their tax dollars. It's my understanding that if we miss this window of opportunity, we won't get COVID funds back, and therefore the expenditure would be a full $7,000 out in the future or more, versus getting some back because of the COVID crisis.
Well, I think this opportunity, it's under the COVID legitimacy, this is the best opportunity for us to expand our future operability with streaming. It is necessitated by the virus.
Good.
Are we in the discussion yet?
Yes, sir.
Is the purpose of this just, are we going to be able to, will we be using this equipment going forward? We're not going to purchase it just for one meeting, are we?
Exactly. This is long-term.
Okay, I just want to be sure.
We could physically use this when we all are allowed to reconvene on a social distancing basis, but it will help with the right equipment for us to broadcast our court proceedings that we have not done other than under the virus window of opportunity.
And this is in the spirit of much that we've seen in your Pulse of the People, Judge, where we have a room with maybe 30 seats at most. And now, if we're able to do this going forward in all our meetings, anyone can get on the phone or get on their computer and observe all our proceedings.
Right.
That's correct. That's correct. All right. Any more discussion? Signify your vote by name, please.
Ellis,
Gay,
aye.
yes.
Okay.
Gay, yes.
Okay.
Short, yes.
Okay.
Caywood, yes.
Okay.
Phil, yes.
Okay.
Hammond, yeah.
Thank you. Hunt, yes. Appreciate that. Motion passes. Barry, you got your marching orders. You and Bill on that. All right. Let's see. John, were you finished with your new business?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Next, we have Magistrate Ellis. You're up.
Thank you, Judge. First, some of you may have gotten this. I'm not certain. I've gotten an inquiry and an email that because of the packing houses out in the Midwest, cattle prices that are given to from the farmer to the packing houses are virtually at an all-time low, while the packing houses are making profits that are so significant that there is an appeal going to the Attorney General in Washington, D.C. To make up for some of that disparity of an out-of-line competitive market, because there are so few packing houses that are taking cattle from all over the country. Very few people know that as small as our county is, and as small as our state is, Kentucky ranks number 8 in the nation for cattle production. Secondly, Kentucky ranks first of all the states east of the Mississippi. So we've gotten an email appeal that we consider sometime very quickly. 11 attorneys general across the country are preparing a document to go to the Attorney General's office and the Justice Department to look in deeply to what's going on with the packing houses and the price that ultimately goes to the consumer, which is highly inflated if the theory of the price circumstances, I'll call them, are accurate. So I would like to recommend that when we get back together, we look at some kind of a proposal or a resolution to help out the cattle farmers, not only in Boyle County, but across the state and across the nation, because their price that they're getting per head is woefully low compared to what we see in the supermarkets. Secondly, any discussion on that before I move?
No, go ahead.
All right. Secondly, and I'd like to look at this very optimistically, I've had an inquiry from a vendor about 4th of July and our line item, which I just looked at again a few moments ago in the budget, and they have to prepare way in advance for their purchases. It's a shared purchase with the city, and in past years it's been $5,000, and they're just wondering what might happen as we're looking at severe situations with our budget. I assume I can go ahead and say, move ahead with caution or something to that effect. I'd like your input.
Mary, go ahead.
Well, the city normally is the one that takes care of this. We do participate, and I haven't had the conversation with Michelle yet, but we've capped it this year. Last year they went over budget, but we pretty much follow behind the city, and we usually have all of our dialogue with the city of Danville. So I'm not really quite sure why we're going to give a commitment to a vendor, because I know we pay a vendor, and we split that bill, but this is a city, they've pretty much taken it over entirely.
Mary, would I be imposing on you to make that phone call and see what their thoughts are so that I can get back to this individual? He's also a constituent.
Well, I'll have the city contact them because they're the ones that make those contacts.
Perfect. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mary.
I'll get that conversation going.
And Tom, I think I heard something in the meeting last night about the 4th of July. So with the city's budget, so you may want to check that out.
Okay, thank you. And lastly, everyone should try to tune in Thursday evening. The Perryville City Council is having a special meeting with respect to dead animal removal. I will not be participating. I was asked by one magistrate, but then I was asked that they wanted to have their own meeting. So you can stream on by going on to the Perryville website and on Facebook as well, and find out the phone numbers, or if I can get those, I'll get them out to everybody. Judge, that's all I have.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Magistrate Simmons, you're up.
Thank you, sir. I'd like, before I get started, I think Magistrate Ellis meant he was contacted by a city councilman, not a magistrate.
I'm sorry. Thank you for that correction.
Thank you. Been a good meeting, Judge. I don't have anything else. Thank you, sir. You all have a good day.
All right, thank you. I do have one statement I'd like to make for comment. I think you've seen that the governor has amended his opening statements, reopening statements for government offices to 18 May. I'll be honest with you, in consultation with the circuit court clerk and the county clerk, those two primary functional areas have some of the largest external visits that come into this courthouse on a routine, regular, normal basis. And the AOC, the Administrative Office of the Courts, thereby the Circuit Court, and all those functional areas will not be ready to open until June 1st. There are some provisions that the county clerk is making under the COVID crisis response right now to her physical provisions in her offices. They have started, but they won't be completed until June 1st. And both elected officials has said that they would open on June 1st or May 31st or whatever, regardless of those limiting factors that are currently exist in both of their functional areas. I would prefer, if it's okay with the court, to not open the entire courthouse to public visitation until the whole courthouse can be open, because it would create an atmosphere of confusion, who's open and who's not, respectively. What do you think?
I agree with that approach.
I agree with you, Judge. You're the man.
I think we're talking about a little bit less than 2 weeks, or roughly, and we could open the doors with all those provisions that have been put forward by the governor's office for reopening of government buildings. And my going in proposition is that county employees, including myself on down, will be masked when they are in proximity of other personnel, whether it be staff or the public. Right now, I'm leaning because of personal choice. Visitors to the courthouse can be masked or unmasked as a personal choice item. Our protection as employees of the courthouse, elected and appointed, will be to ensure that our provisions or considerations for insurance purposes, that no employee of the courthouse will have provided the opportunity for exposure to anybody.
Judge,
I
I
mean-
think it's your call.
That's right. I agree.
And get everybody get used to your mask, because you're gonna be wearing it for a long time.
Okay. I just wanted to make those statements. I will let you know that I have heard the public outcry in Perryville and Alum Springs. I have in the process, in short order, of making a public statement to address the concerns of people in the county as it regards, as Mary referred to it, soil conservation district issues. I hate to put it in the context that it's only them by themselves, but as a countywide issue and concern, I have some ideas and a statement that I will make public this week. And as you remember, in a vote by the court, you put it in my hands to make the judgments that would best address the issue with expediency. And so that's what I'm going to do this week. And I will only give the hint, because I want to do it on the radio and in the newspaper effectively, that all I want to say is that I have heard loud and clear the comments of the constituents of Boyle County, and that's where I'll leave it for right now.
Thank you, Judge.
So, is there any other comments before we entertain a motion to adjourn?
One quick, and I will be quick.
One other thing I'd like to, is Ann still on? Ann, you still on?
Yes, sir.
Would you do me a big favor and mail my appropriations list to me?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. Thank you, ma'am.
Likewise, Ann. Tom Ellis.
Yes, sir. I'll send them
Thank
to
you.
everybody.
Hey, General, I want
Sure.
to take a minute that we've all had, a lot of stuff put in here, and Mary has educated us time and time again, especially during this budget process. But Mary, thank you so much for all you do for the county. Still thinking about you daily with the loss of your dad, and you're still doing your job top notch. So thank you so much. And I know that I'm speaking for all of us that our prayers are with you and with your family, especially with your mom as well. So thank you for your continued commitment to this county. We greatly appreciate everything that you do. So thank you.
I appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Great work.
Could I add this before we adjourn? Mary, thank you for your commitment for all your years to the county, and those around the table. She has always been committed to our county.
Yeah.
We've all seen it through our years, Phil, and I have, and you all in the short term you've been there, and there's no doubt that we someday we will miss.
Let's not talk about John. Please don't. Right now.
I'd like to, Judge, I'd like to amen what Magistrate Caywood said. The 20 plus years that I've been associated with Mary in a business matter. My wife had her kids in school and dearly loved her, but Mary's a professional. We'll never find another professional person as good as Mary's been. I'll just tell you that right now. Only other thing I'd like to tell you guys, if you don't mind, personal note, I have lost 2 first cousins in this bad thing going on. Yeah, one on my dad's side, and one on my mother's. One in Michigan, and one in Arizona. We were close years ago when his kids growing up. One of them was buried today, and in Paintsville, Kentucky, they brought her back home. And just thank you for your prayers and concerns.
Sorry, Phil.
So it's like cancer. It hits us all,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It keeps on. Thank you all very much. We've had a good meeting. Mary, thank you, honey. Love you.
I don't want to mislead any public that may be listening. We all, every one of us, deeply appreciate the professionalism and the services and the expertise and the experience that Mary brings to the table. But she's not leaving this week, guys. We got to keep her another day or two.
We're not gonna let her leave for another 2 years.
Well said, and I appreciate it. Okay, so motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion. Sammons makes a motion to adjourn.
Hey, second. All those in favor, give me a thumbs up and a wave and a howdy ho. And everybody.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm hitting
we stay.
I'm hitting the disconnect building. I'm hitting the disconnect button.
All right, we're out of here. Thank you all. Have a safe day.
Bye, everybody.